Chapter 31. Don's questioning. Alex saw a man who's so dazzling that even calling him handsome might sound insulting. He has a symmetrical face, well-defined jaws, perfect lips, sword-like eyebrows, and piercing eyes. His beauty can no longer be explained by the words of man. Alex slowly reached out to his face and skeptically, he said, "This is the man in the reflection me. Such a huge change, is this what 256 points in charisma can do?" Along with his handsome face, Alex also felt some sort of aura lingering on his body. That aura makes him appear reliable, trustworthy, and full of dignity. Now, Alex realized how the charisma attribute can make people follow his words on their own. It's because of this aura. After a while, Alex came out of his daze and looked around him. For some reason, a few people are already gathering around, watching him like he's some sort of celebrity. Frowning, Alex decided to immediately leave. After leaving the mall, Alex doesn't really have the mood to continue wandering around. And so, he decided to go home. He hailed a taxi just outside the mall and drove home. The driver was a talkative guy and seemed to like initiating a conversation with his passengers. However, Alex only nodded his head at the words said by the driver without really listening. 30 minutes later, the taxi arrived outside Alex's house. Seeing that, Alex paid the bill and went out of the taxi. Stepping into his house, Alex immediately slumped on the sofa. Home really is the best. Strolling around the city center didn't really inspire anything in me. The alter dimension is much more interesting than it. Alex decided to go to alter dimension later because of this thought. Since the house is a little dirty, Alex cleaned up for a while before taking a shower. When he got out of the bathroom, he changed into comfortable clothes. Now then, time to go back to the slime plains. With a blink, Alex disappeared on Earth and in the next second, appeared in slime plains where he left Fairy yesterday. The air in this world is really much more comfortable to breathe in than the polluted air back on Earth. Alex said as he took a deep breath. After that, Alex felt the thread-like connection he had with Fairy. He ordered, "Fairy, come back, I am here now." Not even a minute later, the sound of the wind sounded from the east, which made Alex turn his head in that direction. There, he saw the head of a ferocious wolf with green fur all over its body, rushing forward to where Alex was standing. Its speed is like the wind, incredibly fast and unbelievably hard to perceive. When Alex saw the wolf, a smile appeared on his face. "Fairy, hurry up." The wind wolf, Fairy, heard Alex's shout and responded with a howl. "Ahoo!" And then, its speed seems to have gotten even faster. In no time, Fairy arrived near Alex and suddenly pounced on him. Alex opened his arms and caught Fairy. "Haha, it seems like you're pretty excited to see me this time, hey?" Alex said, rubbing Fairy's soft fur. At the same time, Alex tried to feel the control he had over Fairy and felt that there's no longer resistance. Before, even though he had Fairy under his control and obeyed all of his orders, Alex could feel a certain resistance coming from Ferris's heart and soul. Maybe that is just how monster manipulation works. It can control a monster's mind but not its heart and soul. And that's where the resistance that Alex felt is coming from. But now, that resistance has totally disappeared. That just means one thing: Fairy has been completely tamed by Alex. To this, Alex still feels some sort of feeling of achievement. And so, he was truly happy. He laughed and said, "Fairy, it seems like you have finally decided in your heart to follow me, hey?" As if to affirm his words, Fairy let out a bark and wags its tail excitedly. Alex nodded, "Good, then from now on, we will be partners." Fairy seemed happy to hear that and ran in circles around Alex. After playing around for a bit, Alex said, "Playtime is over, now we have to start hunting again." Hearing that, Fairy also stopped and lowered its body in front of Alex. Patting Fairy's back, Alex smoothly jumped into its back. "Okay, Fairy, full speed ahead." Ahoo! One human and one wolf soon disappeared from the low-level area, Slime Plains. Cupido Town. Blade Gang's hideout. Don is sitting on his chair behind the table with an expressionless face. Turning his eyes at the man who's sitting on the other side of the table, he said, "So, you're saying that, when you followed that man into his house, you and the other two, John and Robert, suddenly fainted. And when you woke up, the two are already dead and only you managed to live for some reason. Is that it?" Facing Don's questioning, the man shivered uncontrollably from fear. That man is actually someone that Alex knows. To be specific, he's a man who has already forfeited his life to Alex. It's none other than Ben. Hearing Don's seemingly emotionless voice asking him a question, Ben felt scared. In his heart, he silently said, "Damn, this is scary." The pressure that he's exuding feels so crushing. However, Ben still hurriedly nodded on the outside. "Yes, boss. I don't really know what happened, but I can still remember the chill that I felt when I saw John and Robert's corpse beside me." Thinking back on that day, Ben is not really lying. The means of that man, who's now his master, is really chilling. It only took a few seconds for him to kill 2 people and stop Ben from escaping. Plus, when he woke up and saw that the bloody wound that was on his knees has disappeared, he realized that the man he forfeited his life to is an incredibly powerful man. So, facing Don, Ben managed to reduce the fear he's feeling. On the inside, he said, "That's right, I'm now serving a very powerful man. A mere Don is probably not even worthy of his time." Chapter 32. Dungeon's Trial. Don stared at Ben for a while before waving his hand. "Okay, you go out." "Yes, boss." Ben hurriedly stood up and bowed before leaving the room. After Ben left, Don looked outside through the window. Picking up a tobacco from the table drawer, Don lit it up and sucked some smoke. Puff. After a long silence, Don muttered, "Another strong man has entered the town." Black Forest. A green wolf is galloping through the trees in the forest at a fast speed with a person on its back. It's none other than the pair of Alex and Fairy. At this time, they are heading to Kun's dungeon. Alex plans to fix it today and take over it now. With that, he will have more dungeon territory. Anyway, the more dungeons he has, the better it is for him. At the speed Fairy is going, it didn't take long before they arrived at Kun's dungeon. Getting off Fairy's back, Alex said, "Wait for me here, Fairy. You guard outside and don't let anyone near, okay?" Woof. Fairy has a look that seems to say leave it to me. Then, Alex entered the dungeon. The moment he stepped into the dungeon, the familiar notification appeared in front of him. Hint, you have entered the broken dungeon Kun's lair. Hint, do you want to fix the broken dungeon Kun's lair? Yes/no. This time, Alex did not just ignore the notification. Of course, it's a yes. Alex pressed yes on the screen and the notification disappeared. Then the next second, the dungeon started shaking. Rumble. Alex seriously observed the surroundings of the dungeon. After a few seconds, the rumbling stopped and a new notification screen appeared. Zero has started fixing the broken dungeon Kun's lair. Kun's lair trial is about to begin. Please defeat all the monsters. Just as the notification appeared, outside the dungeon, the ground started trembling and it seemed like an earthquake occurred. The next moment, various monsters from all directions started running towards the dungeon. Fairy, who was guarding outside the dungeon, was startled by this and got ready to fight. But Alex sent an order for him to retreat and hide in the woods for now. After getting the order, Fairy reluctantly withdrew and ran not far away. Inside the dungeon, feeling the vibration from the ground, Alex closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes, a fierce light revealed itself. Just in time, the first batch of monsters has entered the dungeon. It was a group of wind wolves and horned rabbits. When they saw Alex, they roared loudly. Roar! Alex stood there, unfazed from the monster's intimidation. Narrowing his eyes, he said, "This wild mutt dared to roar with its bad breath, I'll kill you first." Saying that, Alex stomped his feet on the ground. Boom! The ground trembled harder than when those groups of monsters were running at the same time. The vibration from the ground caused those monsters to lose their foot and wasn't able to remain standing. Taking advantage of that, Alex jumped forward and punched the closest wolf on the head. Boom! Like a watermelon, its head exploded into pieces. You killed a level 8 wind wolf, plus 130 experience points. Alex was surprised by this but also ecstatic. 256 strength, so strong. Only now did he realized, he actually has this much power already. Without missing a second, Alex went to the next monster, swinging his feet at it like a whip. Like before, it also died with just one blow. The more Alex fights, the more excited he becomes. And soon, the first batch of monsters, of about 100, died in less than 2 minutes. After they died, the corpse of the monster was absorbed by the dungeon to get energy to fix itself. At the same time, Alex managed to increase his level by 2 after that battle. Now, he is at level 8. Then, before Alex even relaxed, the ground once again started vibrating. Rumble. Soon, the second batch of monsters showed itself. This time, there's more monsters than the previous batch. At least about 200 monsters with levels ranging from 11 to 15 have come. Seeing that large group of monsters, instead of being scared, Alex felt more excited. Everyone, thanks for the experience. The monsters growled at the same time and caused it to reverberate throughout the entire dungeon. Alex frowned and covered his ears. Aish, you guys are too loud. And so, Alex launched himself to the group of monsters and started a one-sided slaughter. Alex did not receive any training about fighting, or does he know martial arts. Because of that, all of his movements look amateurish and don't really connect. But thanks to his overwhelming stats, even a group of 200 monsters was no match for him. This time, it took Alex a few minutes more to finish all of the attacking monsters. Once he finished killing the last monster, a level up notification appeared for the 5th time. Congratulations, you leveled up. While no monster has come yet, Alex took a look at his character panel. Name, 0. Class, Dungeon Master. Level, 11. Talent, Fortune's Embodiment. Health, 3460/3460. Mana, 2960/2960. Strength, 256. Constitution, 256. Agility, 256. Intelligence, 256. Charisma, 256. Free attributes, 100. Skill points, 84. Skills, Sacrifice, U, Monster Manipulation, A, Lord's Sanctuary, A, Fireball, D, Earth Spike, D, Wind Blade, D, Freeze, D, Water Ball, D, Stealth, D, Concealment, A. Alex nodded in satisfaction. My level has finally reached the double digits. Since I'm not really acquainted with the people of this world, I don't know who I can compare to, so I can see whether my speed is considered fast or slow. Thinking of that, Alex decided to hurry up the establishment of his restaurant. But when he thought about the restaurant, the figure of Ben came to his mind. Rubbing his chin, Alex pondered about how Ben is doing. I wonder if he has done what I asked him to do last time. Since there's a lot of things to do at the town, Alex decided to go back after he finished the dungeon's trial. Chapter 33. Boss Class, Red Bear. As Alex was looking at his status, heavy footsteps suddenly sounded from the outside. From listening to the footsteps, Alex concluded that there's only one monster this time. From the sounds of it, this monster is a big one. Alex said. It didn't take long for Alex to see the figure of the incoming monster. It was a bear with a fiery red body. It had huge claws that looked like metal under the heat. When Alex saw that, his face grew serious. With a heavy tone, he said, I didn't expect that I would actually encounter a boss-class monster while going through a broken dungeon's trial. Red Bear. As simple as its name sounds, it is actually a boss-class monster that boasts great strength. In this world, monsters are divided into 3 different classes, as everyone might have already seen. The first one are normal monsters like the goblins, horned rabbits, and those underlings of fairy in the past. All of them are considered normal class monsters. The second one is the leader class like fairy. They are monsters who have certain intelligence that gives them the capability to lead their kind. Lastly, there's the boss class like this red bear over here. They are monsters who have a territory of their own. It is because they possess great power that makes it impossible for other monsters to go against them, which in turn makes them the ruler of a certain place. Additionally, most of them also have intelligence that is comparable or even surpass those of humans. With strengths that grow at an unbelievable speed, it's a monster that needs multiple players to attack it together before taking it down. It contains great power that can even destroy a country. It's a living disaster. Dungeon masters are actually not that much different from boss class monsters. In fact, dungeon masters are also counted as boss class. However, dungeon masters are not monsters. They are people, just of different races. Demon, angel, elf, dwarf, spirit, human, etc. Any race can become a dungeon master as long as they are chosen by the universe to be one. That's their difference from monsters. In terms of growth, well, we can say that dungeon masters and boss class monsters get the same amount of attributes each time. So, they are actually in the same class level. And that is the reason why Alex's whole being suddenly turned solemn. It won't actually be a problem if they are on the same level, since Alex's stats will always be higher than that of the same level thanks to sacrifice. But this red bear is freaking level 23. To be better prepared for the oncoming battle, Alex decided to take a look at the red bear's stats. Red bear. Level, 23. Strength, 175 Constitution, 181 Agility, 68 Intelligence, 56. When Alex saw the stats of the red bear who he was being cautious of, his brain paused. Ah, wait, is this what a normal boss class stats is like at level 23? Saying that, Alex took a peek at his own stats. Seeing the huge disparity, Alex suddenly felt like laughing. When he saw that a boss class had come, he started considering it as the same level as him. Because of that, Alex can't help but act cautious around it. But after seeing the overwhelming gap between his status and red bear's, only then did it come to him. He is already on a level of his own. No boss class or other dungeon master can be considered as the same level as him except if they have a skill as unique as his own sacrifice. Understanding all that, Alex recognizes once again just how much of a cheat sacrifice really is. Alex heaved a sigh of relief, how glad it's not a monster that's hard to deal with. As his voice died down, the red bear also entered the dungeon. When it saw Alex, it roared loudly before charging forward. Roar! Seeing that, a smile crept up to Alex's face. Then, I guess it's about time I end this. Saying that, Alex raised his hand and cast magic. Earth Spike. Suddenly, in front of the charging red bear, the ground rose up and turned into spikes. The red bear didn't have the chance to stop its charge and crashed into the spikes. Poochie! Because of the force brought by the red bear's charge hitting a spike, even the D-rank magic managed to pierce through the red bear's thick skin. Alex chuckled, that's what happens when you just charge at your enemy without thinking. Angered by the pain from the spikes and Alex's words, the red bear let out a fierce roar. Roar! It smashed the stone spikes that were protruding from the ground and continued moving towards Alex. Alex stood there, looking at the approaching monster. Should I use monster manipulation on it? But since the dungeon is absorbing the energy of the monsters I killed, killing this one might be necessary to fix the dungeon. Alex shrugged, it doesn't matter. I'll just kill it and end this. Water ball. Preparing to end this, Alex cast water ball and threw it to the red bear. Water ball. Details: turn your mana into water and shape it into a ball. Shoot it at the enemy and cause 2x intelligence damage. Highly effective against fire attributes. Consumption: 10 mana. Cooldown: 3 minutes. It's basically just a water version of Fireball. But right now, Alex thinks that this might have some good effect against the red bear since it's a fire attribute monster. Anyway, the water ball that Alex threw hit the red bear. Bang! PSSHH. Roar! Just as the water ball hits, white smoke or water vapor rises up. The sound of heat being extinguished sounded and Alex visibly saw the redness on the red bear's dim becoming brown. The red bear let out a painful roar. Alex laughed, haha, choosing to learn skills of each of the 4 elements was a really good decision. Chapter 34. Shop. After it was splashed by water, the red bear seems to have entered a weakened state. Noticing that, Alex didn't miss the opportunity. Farewell, dumbass. He jumped up high and whipped his feet directly into the head of the red bear. Boom! Crack! Loud dull sound followed by cracking resounded as Alex's feet and the red bear's head made contact. Because of the force from Alex's kick, the skull of the red bear caved in, piercing right straight into its brain. Blood and brain matter oozes out from the red bear head. At the same time, a kill notification appeared in Alex's eyes. You killed the level 23 boss, Red Bear, plus 23,000 experience points. Congratulations, you leveled up. Congratulations, you leveled up. Congratulations. The kill notification was followed by multiple level up notifications. Looking at it, Alex smiled and said, "Ho, a boss monster is really different from others, hey. Look at this huge amount of experience points, tisk tisk, killing it was so worth it." With just one boss monster, Alex managed to level up 6 times. That was more than all the experience given by the previous batch of monsters added together. Probably because it's a boss, the amount of experience it gives is a lot higher than normal monsters of the same level. Anyway, Alex is just happy to level up today. When the red bear's corpse was fully absorbed by the dungeon, a notification appeared. Congratulations, you have successfully completed the Kun's Lair trial. You're now the master of Kun's Lair. Connecting main dungeon Lucky Dungeon and Kun's Lair. Would you like to change Kun's Lair name? Yes/no. Dungeon portal is now available. Seeing the trial completion notification, Alex was satisfied. At the same time, he felt the Kun's dungeon slowly form a strong connection with the dungeon core on his chest. Now, his two dungeons are connected to the same core. And that core is always with Alex, which makes it easier to protect. As long as he doesn't die, both dungeons will continue functioning. Alex was pleased by all of this and said, "Good, now I have an additional dungeon that can be used in other things. Plus, dungeon portal can now be used as well." Dungeon portal. Details: a passage that connects all dungeons owned by the same dungeon master for easier management and convenient movement from each dungeon. With this function, Alex can now shuffle through between Lucky Dungeon on Cupido Town and Kun's Dungeon here in Black Forest. Besides being convenient, it's also helpful in a lot more ways. So, Alex is really happy with this. Now that he's done here, it's about time for him to go back. First thing first, Alex has to go back to the city and start really establishing his restaurant. With that thought, Alex called Fairy and told him to stay inside the dungeon or within the periphery. After that, Alex started the dungeon portal. A black hole suddenly formed in midair. When you look at it, it seems like a boundless abyss with no end, as you will not see any depth to it. Without thinking about it too much, Alex stepped into the portal and his surroundings turned black. After 5 seconds, the light slowly started coming back and Alex came to his senses. Looking around, Alex saw that he is now on the second floor of the Lucky Dungeon. With a smile, he said, "I knew that it would work, but really experiencing it for myself is such an extraordinary experience." Alex sighed. He once again felt how amazing this dimension is. "By the way, I feel like there's still a lot of things that I don't know. Maybe I should visit the town library sometime soon to learn more about this world." Thinking of that, Alex added going to the library into his plan. Next, Alex opened his dungeon menu. Dungeon menu. Name: Lucky Dungeon. Level: LV1. Owner: 0. Dungeon skills: Dungeon Monitor, Inspect, Dungeon Portal. Dungeon points: 4. Looking at the pitiful number of points he has, Alex let out a sigh. "Highs, I should really open my restaurant soon." Alex is starting to feel the need to open his restaurant immediately. By having the restaurant, people will come to his dungeon. And each one of them will give 1 dungeon point per day. With that, the more people he has every day, the more points he'll get. As for why Alex wants more points, that is because he knows that there is a shop in the dungeon. In the shop, a lot of things could be bought. From the most ordinary piece of wood to the special heavenly fruits. And the only way to unlock the shop function is for his dungeon points to reach a certain number first. Because of that, Alex can't help but start thinking of opening the restaurant immediately. Sighing, Alex dismissed the panels in front of him. Then he looked around the building again before deciding to go back to Earth for now. Since there's nothing to do here now, I should go home and prepare the things needed for the opening of my restaurant immediately. Without delay, Alex disappeared from where he was standing. Back on Earth. Alex appeared inside his house with it looking the same as usual. "Ugh, I'm back, what time is it?" While stretching his arms, Alex looked at the time. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Seeing that, Alex raised an eyebrow. "I didn't know that much time had already passed. I guess fighting in the dungeon made me lose my sense of time for a bit, hey?" Alex said while walking towards the bathroom. The fights from earlier caused some dirt and blood to get into him, so Alex decided to wash them all away first. Coming out of the bath, Alex felt fresh and cool. He wore the clothes that he bought just earlier at the mall and it made him a lot more presentable and handsome. Maybe it was because of the high charisma stats, but, at this time, Alex is really very attractive. Looking at his own reflection in the mirror, he sighed. "Hi's having such a handsome face, I don't know whether I should be happy or not." Chapter 35. Gathering Invitation. Alex sat down on the sofa and was about to relax while watching TV when his phone suddenly rang. Ring ring. After a momentary pause, Alex sighed. He picked up his phone and looked at the caller ID. Rich Chris. Seeing that, Alex raised an eyebrow. Why is this girl calling me now? Answering the call, Alex said, "Hey, Chris, what's the matter now?" "Soon, Chris' husky voice sounded on the phone. Alex, why didn't you go to class? From Chris' tone, it's obvious that she's not asking out of concern or anything but more of just pure curiosity. To that, Alex just responded carelessly. What? Of course, it's because I just don't feel like it. Chris was surprised at his answer for a second before she teasingly said, Wow, you're even learning to skip school now, hey. At that, Alex just chuckled. Then he said, So, what is the reason that you called me this time? On the other side, Chris exclaimed exaggeratedly, Wah! Can I not call you when I just feel like it? You can't. Alex said flatly. Hearing Alex without hesitation, Chris clicked her tongue. TCH, you're boring. Anyway, I'm calling you this time because I really have something to do with you. Saying that, Chris' tone changed and became more serious. She said, Alex, in view of your notable deed of saving the lives of the missing students, we are inviting you to a small gathering tonight to present you with a reward. Hearing Chris' words, Alex was surprised. But after thinking about it, he solved a problem that the official players' families are having a hard time with. It even involves the life of dozens of students, which is a really big deal. That's why being rewarded for it is only natural, unless those people are people who don't know how to be grateful. After thinking about it, Alex agreed, Okay, send me the time and location. Alex and Chris continued chatting for a while before ending the call. Minutes after the call ended, Alex received a text message from Chris. Chris, the gathering will be held at Cherry Hotel at 8 p.m, make sure to come, okay? See you later. At first, Alex read the text message casually, but when he saw the location that Chris said, he was stunned. Cherry Hotel? The most expensive hotel in Pearl City. For some matters in the city, Alex is still quite informed with a few. Just like this Cherry Hotel, which is a really popular hotel in Pearl City. As a poor guy, there were days when Alex dreamed of going inside that hotel and eating all sorts of delicious food. Experiencing the happiness of life that he couldn't afford was such a big dream for the young Alex. In the past, Alex only dared to think about such things, but unexpectedly, he is really about to go inside that hotel. Thinking of that, Alex felt some emotions inside him that he couldn't describe. It was a mix of happiness, incredulity, surprise, amazement, etc. After a while, Alex only let out a sigh. Then he said, Sigh, only real power can make you stand out in life. Looking at the time, there's still a few hours before the designated time for the gathering. Alex opened his character panel. Name, 0. Class, Dungeon Master. Level, 17. Talent, Fortune's Embodiment. Health, 4060/4060. Mana, 3260/3260. Strength, 256. Constitution, 256. Agility, 256. Intelligence, 256. Charisma, 256. Free attributes, 220. Skill points, 84. Skills, Sacrifice, U, Monster Manipulation, A, Lord's Sanctuary, A, Fireball, D, Earth Spike, D, Wind Blade, D, Freeze, D, Water Ball, D, Stealth, D, Concealment, A. Alex smiles in happiness after seeing how much his level has gone up. Going through the Kun's Lair trial helped me level up 11 times in just a few hours. The joy can't be hidden from Alex's face as he thinks about it. He didn't expect that trial would bring him such benefit. Looking at the free attributes that he still has, Alex once again distributed them. Name, 0. Class, Dungeon Master. Level, 17. Talent, Fortune's Embodiment. Health, 4060/4060. Mana, 3260/3260. Strength, 300. Constitution, 300. Agility, 300. Intelligence, 300. Charisma, 300. Free attributes, 0. Skill points, 84. Skills, Sacrifice, U, Monster Manipulation, A, Lord's Sanctuary, A, Fireball, D, Earth Spike, D, Wind Blade, D, Freeze, D, Water Ball, D, Stealth, D, Concealment, A. Nice, now all my stats have reached 300 points. Alex cheerfully said after he finished distributing his free attributes. Compared to when he first arrived in this altered dimension, Alex's stats have undergone what can be called earth-shaking changes. To this, Alex felt some pride in himself. In just a few days, I managed to grow to such an extent, this is all thanks to my unique skill sacrifice. Alex knows that he doesn't have sacrifice, his stats won't look like this. At most, it might be similar to that red bear before, even less. That's why Alex is really thankful for it. Anyway, after appreciating his status for a while, Alex closed it and turned his eyes back on the TV. By the way, Alex's luck points also increased greatly compared to last time thanks to killing hundreds of monsters back in Kun's lair. Luck points, 402. After passing the time, the clock soon ticks to 7 p.m. Alex yawned and said, unknowingly, it's already 7 p.m. Time really flies by when watching TV. Getting up, Alex started preparing for the gathering. A few minutes later, Alex completed his preparation. Wearing some comfortable clothes that he bought this morning, Alex looks clean and fresh. After tidying up his hair, Alex left the house, heading towards the address that Chris sent. Alex didn't bother to call a taxi or any transportation vehicle. He bent his knees and with a burst, he started running rapidly. At the same time, Alex cast stealth on himself to make sure that people won't notice him. The scenery flashes by Alex's sight in a blur at the speed he was going. He felt a sense of freedom running down the streets. He felt his blood boil from excitement and involuntarily let out a shout. Woohoo! Chapter 36. Evening Gathering. It didn't take long for Alex to arrive in front of the Cherry Hotel. As the most popular hotel in the city, Cherry Hotel's reputation is well deserved. It's a magnificently tall building that seems to pierce through the night sky. From the outside, it exudes a certain elegant charm that subconsciously attracts the eyes of the people around. Alex looks up and said, "Ho, as expected of Cherry Hotel, just one look and you can see that it's expensive." Walking through the entrance, Alex was welcomed by a few pretty hotel staffs. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Cherry Hotel." Alex smiled and nodded at them before heading directly to the reception desk. The receptionist smiled professionally and said, "Hello, sir, how may I help you? My friend Chris invited me to a gathering here, can you help me with that?" Alex said. Exclaiming softly, the receptionist asked, "Ah, are you Mr. Alex?" "Yes." Alex nodded. Hearing the positive reply, the receptionist showed a brighter smile. "The gathering is on the 48th floor. Let me guide you there, sir." Alex didn't decline and the two boarded an elevator. After the receptionist pressed the 48, the elevator started rising silently. Inside the elevator, there's only Alex and the receptionist. At first, Alex didn't care about it and just stood there, patiently waiting for the elevator to reach the 48th floor. But maybe it's because of his teenage hormones, he can't help but take a glance at the receptionist from time to time. Wearing the hotel uniform that has a professional but alluring charm to it, the beauty of an older sister vibe came out. Additionally, the receptionist also has quite a good body where the places that should be plump are plump. That's why Alex can't help but take a look at her from time to time. Alas, no matter how cold a person is, a man is still a man. Ding! Soon, the elevator stops at the 48th floor. The receptionist turned to Alex with a smile and said, "We're here, sir. Just walk straight ahead and you will be at the gathering." Alex looked at her and smiled calmly, "Thank you, miss." He glanced at the name tag on the chest of the receptionist and added, "Irene." Irene bowed slightly without saying a word. Alex once again nodded at her before stepping out of the elevator. As he left, Irene's eyes were staring at his back with unknown thoughts running through her mind. Alex didn't walk for long before he arrived in a wide hall. At the entrance, there are men in black, processing the entry of every guest. Beside them, Alex also saw a familiar figure standing not far away from the entrance, welcoming those who came. It is Chris. Tonight, she's wearing a long purple dress that is very pleasing to the eye. It really shows how ladylike she is and the elegance in her personality. It was the image that you would imagine when the word noble is mentioned. Seeing such a Chris, Alex was surprised. In his impression, Chris is a girl who's very casual. Even though he knows that she's from a rich family, he just doesn't see such an image from her in the past. But now, his eyes were opened after seeing how graceful and beautiful Chris is tonight. So she can be this beautiful too, hey? Alex thought. At the same time that Alex laid his eyes on Chris, she also saw him standing outside. Leaving the guests that she just greeted, she walked towards Alex with a smile. "Hey, why are you still standing there? Hearing her voice, Alex finally came to his senses. Ah, nothing, I was just thinking of something. He calmly said. Is that so? Well then, let's go inside. Saying that, Chris grabs his hands and strode inside the hall. Alex didn't say anything and just followed obediently. As they walk in, Alex saw a lot of well-known people inside, socializing, laughing and talking with one another. Just like the mayor of Pearl City who's chatting with a chubby middle-aged man who is one of the richest businessmen in the city. Another one is an actor popular nationwide that originated from Pearl City. Beside them, there's a lot more people around that Alex recognizes as he saw them in TV in the past. Alex didn't really care about them and just took a glance before he continued walking beside Chris. Of course, as a strange man accompanying the daughter of tonight's host, Alex also attracted the eyes of the people. Especially when everyone is wearing formal clothes while he's wearing casual clothing. He really stood out from the crowd. Hey, who's that guy? I don't know as well, it's the first time I see his face. Is he the boyfriend of Miss Chris? From the way they are holding hands, maybe he is really Miss Chris' boyfriend. Well, he's pretty handsome, I won't be surprised if he is really her boyfriend. The people whispered among them, guessing Alex's identity. Meanwhile, the females in the hall immediately noticed his appearance. Thanks to putting more attribute points to his charm, Alex's looks once again went up. Also, his temperament has become outstanding that even in the midst of all these well-known people, Alex didn't fall into obscurity. Chris brought Alex to a table where a good-looking middle-aged man with a dignified aura surrounding him is seated. Beside him, there are also a few people who obviously have high status but fell short by a little compared to the middle-aged man. With a smile, Chris called the middle-aged man. Dad. The middle-aged man raised his head and looked at Chris. Oh, Chrissy, what's the matter? He said. Then when he noticed Alex standing beside Chris, his eyes lit up. With a smile, he said, Oh, is this handsome young man the one you told me about? Yes, Dad. Chris introduced them to each other. Dad, let me introduce you. This is my friend, Alex. He's also the one who helped us solve the big problem this time. Chapter 37. Expressing their gratitude. Alex stepped forward, he smiled, and politely greeted Chris' father. Good evening, sir. Chris' father stood up and approached Alex. Raising his hand, he patted Alex's shoulder and said, You kid, you really helped out our family this time. I thank you for that. From his sincere tone, it was obvious just how grateful he is to Alex. It can't be helped, the problem this time was related to the lives of a lot of people. Such a big thing really has a lot of complications in many departments. The pressure on him was heavy. That's why when he heard from Chris that it's been resolved, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Chris turned to Alex and said, Alex, as you can see, this is my father, Rolando Lowell. After saying that, Chris walked to her father's side and faced Alex. Suddenly, she bowed and said, Alex, I want to thank you as well for the help that you did this time. Alex was surprised by her sudden action. When he recovered, he shook his head and said, No, it's all right, Chris. Stop bowing down, get up. Hearing that, Chris lifted her body up and looked at him with a smile. Seeing that, let out a helpless sigh. As for Rolando, he just watched their interaction without saying a word. Instead of thinking of stupid thoughts just because his daughter is interacting with a man, Rolando is more happy that Chris have a friend like Alex. Then he said, You two, stop standing there, come and take a seat already. He also sat back on his seat while gesturing towards them to sit down. Chris smiled at her father and replied, Okay, Dad. Saying that, Chris went towards another empty table with Alex. Once they sat down, Alex looked around and said, Chris, you didn't tell me that this is going to be a formal party. I only wore some casual clothes, now I stick out like a sore thumb. Chris waved her hand and lightly said, It's all right, don't worry about it. These people are just used to wearing suits and dresses when going to gatherings. Alex gave her a blank stare after hearing her words. After that, the two chatted for a bit about some random stuff like TV drama, popular music, games, or just anything that teens their age are interested in. Without having to wait long, soon the party started. Rolando stepped out and stood in front of everyone with a microphone. Thud. Everyone, may I have your attention please? The guests turned their eyes to him one after another with interest. Seeing that, Rolando smiled and said, "Tonight we are gathered here for one thing, to thank the one who solved a great problem of mine." Saying that, he looks at Alex, which also attracts the eyes of the other guests towards him. Maybe it's the effect of having a high charisma stat, Alex didn't feel frightened by all the eyes looking at him. He smiled calmly and looked back to Rolando without saying a word. Rolando also smiled before he continued talking. "There are also people here who would like to personally express their gratitude to the one that saved their lives." As he said that, 14 teenagers walked into the hall. They were the 14 students that were saved by Alex from Alter Dimension. Back then, they were haggard and their clothes were dirty and tattered. But now, they look neat and clean, wearing suits and dresses like everyone else. They all look beautiful and handsome as they walk in. Without stopping, they went in front of Alex's table and stood together. Then all look at Alex with bright eyes. In unison, they bowed their heads and said, "Thank you for saving our lives." Alex was a little surprised at this turn of events and didn't react immediately. When he recovered, he calmed himself and said, "I am glad that you all seem to have regained some vitality now compared to when I first saw you." He gently smiled at them, making those teenagers more enthusiastic. Even though their age is close to Alex's, everyone can't help but feel admiration towards him who took them away from the hands of death. A boy with glasses stood out the most in Alex's eyes. It was the same boy who followed Alex's words to help the 2 unconscious students from before. Right now, he is staring at Alex with resolute eyes. As for what it's for, Alex wasn't concerned. Anyway, after they thanked Alex, the students went to Ronaldo, who introduced them to the guests. "Everyone should know that just recently, a case of missing students happened in our Pearl City. Some of us here might know the cause of it while some don't." When he said that, a few people in the crowd nodded their heads in understanding while some were left confused. Without paying attention to them, Rolando continued, "These 14 boys and girls that stood in front of everyone are the survivors of that unwanted tragedy. Out of the 23 that have gone missing, only 14 of them." Alex stopped listening to Ronaldo's speech in front and turned his head to Chris. Curiously, he asked, "What will happen to them now?" The existence of the Alter Dimension is not known to common people. Only those with status and power are allowed to enter the Alter Dimension to experience that magical world. Now, a group of people who aren't tied to the government nor the rich suddenly learned about this secret world. Alex is curious as to what will happen to them because maybe such information will become useful to him someday. Hearing him ask, Chris said, "Well, they can choose to enter the government and join their exploration group or look for a rich family that can support them in becoming players in Alter Dimension." After pausing a bit, Chris added, "There's actually another choice beside those 2. That is for them to sign a non-disclosure contract and continue living their life like normal people." A thoughtful look appeared on Alex's face after hearing that. Chapter 38. An ordinary stone in the treasury. Soon, the evening party ended and the guests started heading out one by one. Chris and Ronaldo sent the guests off as the host of tonight's gathering. After everyone was gone, Chris and Ronaldo went back to Alex, who stayed seated from beginning to end. "Hey, sorry to keep you waiting, boy," Ronaldo said. Alex looked at him and said, "It's okay, sir." Ronaldo nodded. "Since it's already quite late, let's proceed and finish this so that you can go home soon." Saying that, Ronaldo told Alex to follow him while Chris and the other students were left. Alex followed obediently behind Ronaldo. Soon, they arrived at the innermost part of the hotel where a lone elevator was in. Without having to wait, the elevator door opened and Ronaldo and Alex stepped in. Unable to hide his curiosity anymore, Alex decided to open his mouth and asked the question that he had in mind. "Mr. Ronaldo, where are we really going?" Without looking at him, Ronaldo answered. "We will be heading toward our family treasury. A lot of things are in there, I'll let you choose one item of your choice." Hearing that, Alex's eyes lit up a bit. By the way, Alex learned from Chris earlier that Cherry Hotel is owned by their family and that is why their treasury is in here. After the elevator door closed, Ronaldo pressed the B3 button and the elevator started going down. La 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 la. A soft elevator music started playing as the elevator moved. Ding! Not long after, the elevator stopped and the door opened. Rolando stepped out of the elevator and continued walking forward. Seeing that, Alex quietly followed. Soon, they arrived at the end of the hallway where a vault made out of unknown black metal was placed. On the side, there's an interface that should be the control of the vault. Ronaldo approached it. He did a fingerprint scan and retinal scan, only then did a green light shone from the vault and it slowly opened. PSSH. Alex just watched all that without saying a word. After a while, Ronaldo turned to Alex and said, "We're here, come inside and look for anything that you like." Hearing that, Alex got excited and immediately followed Ronaldo inside the vault. When he stepped inside, Alex realized just how big of a treasury this place is. A lot of shelves were placed all over the treasury and in each one of them there is an item. Some of the shelves are even covered by glass which shows its importance compared to the others. Seeing so many precious items, Alex kept his cool and didn't lose his composure. While walking, he commented, "Your treasury is really full of different items, hey." Hearing that, a proud smile crept up Rolando's face and he said, "Yes, this is the fruit of everyone's hard work and perseverance in our family to explore the altar dimension." Then, Rolando pointed towards the items covered with glass and said, "You see those things over there?" Alex nodded and listened carefully. Rolando continued, "Those things are the most precious items collected by our family. Some of those were even personally discovered by the previous head of our family, which is my dad." As the previous head of the family, Rolando's dad was the head of the family when the altar dimension was first discovered. Meaning, he can be called as one of the pioneers on exploring the altar dimension. Knowing that, Alex nodded and looked forward to seeing those items discovered by the previous head. After walking for a while, Rolando stopped and looked at Alex. He said, "Now, go look around and choose any item that you like. Except those items in glass covers, I'll let you take any one item you like." Alex nodded, "Okay, I'll take a look at the items first." Alex leisurely started wandering around the treasury. Not long after, Alex stopped in front of an item. It was a stone about the size of a fist. It looks like any ordinary stone that you'll find just about anywhere when you go outside. Such a thing being placed here in the treasury, it looks weird and out of place. Finding Alex staring at the stone with curious eyes, Rolando said, "It seems like you're confused why such a thing is inside our treasury." Alex nodded silently. Seeing that, Rolando smiled and explained, "This stone was actually found inside a giant cave in the altar dimension. Near that cave, there was a village called Tsirga village. The people there told us that the cave was actually a nest of a dragon called Tsirga. Their village was named after it because that dragon was someone that they worship as a benevolent dragon god. However, that dragon just suddenly disappeared one day. No one knows where it went." When he got to this point, Rolando's tone became solemn. He said, "To learn more about it, my father and a few other people decided to explore the dragon nest. Once they entered the dragon nest, they found a lot of treasures. Golds, jewels, magic items, skill books, etc. Then at the very center of the nest, this stone was placed. No one knows what it is and we even tried to appraise it many times but still, there were no results. In the end, Dad took it and placed it here in the treasury, saying that it can be considered as a souvenir for going into a dragon nest." When he said that, Rolando let out a helpless sigh. Seeing that, Alex looked at him and raised an eyebrow. "It seems like you didn't like that decision of your father, Mr. Rolando." Hearing Alex's words, Rolando let out another sigh and said, "How can I be happy with it? Because of that decision, when it was time to divide the treasures, we only got a few shares of the golds and other things." With an irritated look, Rolando said, "Those people that accompanied my dad said that since this stone can't even be appraised, it should be a precious item. Because of that, even though Dad was supposed to get 50% of the treasures, this unknown stone accounted for a high percentage." After hearing all that, Alex didn't say anything and continued looking at the stone. Then, after a few seconds, he opened his mouth and said, "I have decided, I'll take this stone." Chapter 39. Quarterly Exams. Hearing Alex's words, Ronaldo was stunned. "What?" Making sure that he's not mistaken, he said, "Did I hear it right? You want this stone?" Alex nodded and calmly said, "Yeah, I like it. Somehow, I feel attracted to it for unknown reasons." He looked at Ronaldo with a smile and said, "Maybe it has some fate with me." Now, Ronaldo is really confused by this situation. Clearly, he basically told Alex that this stone is useless indirectly, but in the end, Alex still chose it as his reward. Rolando stared at Alex with a puzzled look for quite some time. After a while, he shook his head and said, "Well, it's up to you. I already told you that we don't know what that stone is, so don't blame me if you don't like it in the end. Since he's not the one losing here anyway, it doesn't matter. He gave the reward that he promised. It's Alex's fault for picking a useless item for himself. Rolando took the stone from the shelves and handed it to Alex. Here, now I have given you the reward I promise. I hope when the time comes that you come to need your help again, you'll help us. Rolando said. Alex received the stone while listening to his words. When he heard about helping them again, he looked up and stared at Rolando's face. If you need help again next time, just ask Chris to tell me. If I can help, I will lend a hand. Rolando nodded after hearing that. The real purpose of Rolando giving a generous reward to Alex, such as picking any item of his choosing, is to get acquainted with Alex. From the investigation that he conducted using some magical means, Alex will probably soon go through his first advancement, if not, already done it. Added with the statement of the students saved by him, Rolando is sure that Alex is powerful. Of course, if it's only that, a lot more other people can probably do it as well. The thing that really pushed him to try getting closer to Alex is because of what he learned from Chris. When Chris brought the students to him after Alex saved them, she expressed her surprise and said, "How did Alex do it? When I used appraisal on him just the other day, he was only level 1, so how did he save this student?" When he heard that, Rolando was surprised as well. In just a few days, Alex manages to go from level 1 to the point where he can kill a powerful monster. Anyway, that was a feat that no ordinary person could possibly do. Because of that, he concluded that forming closer ties with Alex might bring great benefits to their family. After they finished choosing Alex's reward, the two came out of the treasury and boarded the elevator, heading back to the ground floor. Back at the hall, Alex found Chris and the 14 students had already left. Now, there are no more people beside the hotel staff that are cleaning the venue. Since it's already late, Alex bids his goodbye to Rolando and leaves the hotel. Even though it's already late at night, the city is still lively. A lot of people are still outside, looking for things to do. But Alex didn't care about any of that. After casting stealth on himself, Alex started running back to his house. With his speed, it didn't take long before he arrived at his house. He went in and immediately headed to the bathroom to wash his body. After he came out, he went directly to bed and fell asleep. The next morning, Alex woke up and did his normal routine. He ate his breakfast and showered before heading to school. Today, Alex felt that the morning was more refreshing than ever before. He took a deep breath and said, "Having money really makes life happier." Now, it can be said that Alex no longer has any problem. Before, the problem that weighed him the most was money. But now, with a lot of money on the bank, it's no longer something that he needs to think about. Anyway, Alex walked unhurriedly to school. Soon, he arrived in class and as usual, he started browsing his books to study more. Thanks to his improved intelligence, Alex was able to read everything quickly and still remember it word by word. Finally, just before the class bell rang, Alex closed the math history book in his hand. With a smile, he satisfiedly said, "Yes, I finally finished reading all of my books. With this, I won't have any problem in class as long as it's in the book." Thinking of that, Alex found his whole being satisfied with such an achievement. Since studying is this fun, maybe I should also take a look at the things that I studied in the past years and review it. Just then, the school bell rang and advisor and science teacher Miss Gonzalez entered the room. "Good morning, class." "Good morning, Miss Gonzalez." Putting her things on the table, Miss Gonzalez looks at her students with a smile and said, "Okay, everyone seems energetic today, hey. Good. Then let me tell everyone this, next week we will be having our quarterly exams. I hope everyone will show how much they learned in the past few months." Hearing her words, the students didn't say anything. They aren't surprised that they are about to have their quarterly exams since it always comes around this time. All they have to do is do their best and cram as much as they can until the exam comes. As for Alex, when he heard that the quarterly exam was about to start, he felt some excitement. With a confident smile, he murmured, "Isn't this a good chance to test out my knowledge?" As students, everyone wants to do well and have high grades. Alex is not an exception to this. Especially when it comes to these students, high grades are almost equivalent to high status and honor. Because of that, Alex's excitement is reasonable. After telling the news to the students, Miss Gonzalez started the discussion where they left off last time. Chapter 40. Shopping Spree, Visitors. After school ended, Alex hurriedly left and hailed a taxi. "Sir, please head to Royal Mall." Alex said to the driver. Okay, sir. The taxi started and Alex leaned on the back seat. The reason why he's heading to Royal Mall is to buy the necessary things for the restaurant. Alex plans to fix the restaurant today and open it tomorrow. As for advertising, Alex already has a thought on what he's going to do. In Cupido Town, Blade Gang's hideout. Don, who's sitting in his office, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. Looking around, a wary look appeared in his eyes. What the hell was that? After not finding anything, only then did Don drop his guard. Alex arrived at the Royal Mall not even 10 minutes later. After paying the taxi, Alex stepped out and walked inside the mall. Since Alex is not that familiar with the stores in Royal Mall, he went towards an inquiry desk. Hello, sir. Do you need help with anything? The female staff greeted him. Alex nodded and said, yes, I don't know where I can buy things needed for a restaurant. Can you be specific, sir? Is it for the kitchen or the dining area? I need everything. Things for the kitchen as well as the dining area and other places, said Alex. The staff nodded. Okay, sir, I understand. I will give you a list where you can buy the things that you need. Please wait a moment. She grabbed a pen and paper under her desk and started writing down some things. Once she's done, she handed it to Alex and said, here's the list, sir. I also wrote the location for each store. Alex took the list and started reading it. After a while, he lifted his head, looked at the lady staff and said his thanks. The lady just smiled and responded, it is no problem, sir. Please have a good time shopping. Alex waves his hand and leaves the inquiry desk. Looking at the paper in his hands, Alex headed towards the nearest store around him. After walking for 3 minutes, Alex saw his target store just up ahead. It was a furniture shop called The Classics. Just as Alex entered, he saw a large variety of furniture such as tables, chairs, beds, etc. With just one look, Alex can see that the furniture is really well made. With a smile, he said, that lady's suggestion is really good. This is a great shop to buy the furniture for my restaurant. Alex started walking around, looking at the different tables and chairs since those are the things he needs for the restaurant. While Alex was wandering through the store, no salesman or saleslady approached him. Maybe it's because of his age, people didn't really think that he's here to buy something. After a while, Alex finally found something he liked and called for a saleslady nearby. Excuse. With a polite smile, the saleslady approached and asked, yes, how may I help you? Pointing at the furniture that he wants and saying, I want this, that, and that, please help me process it. The saleslady didn't respond immediately and stared at those items that Alex pointed out. After a while, she turned her eyes back to Alex and asked, are you going to buy all that, sir? Alex looked at her with confused eyes and said, hi? Of course, I'm buying them. Finally, the saleslady snapped to reality and hurriedly said, then I will immediately help you, sir. After that, the saleslady left Alex alone for a while and went to the stockroom to bring the furniture that he picked. Alex sat down and relaxed as everything was being processed. 10 minutes later, Alex successfully bought the things he wanted and walked out the store. Since Alex bought quite a lot, it will be hard to bring it all back home on his own using normal means, so he decided to just ask them to deliver it to his house. Anyway, now that he bought the necessary furniture for the restaurant, next, he needs to buy the kitchen tools and a few other things. Thus, with great enthusiasm, Alex went to the next store listed on the paper. After that, Alex went through one store after another, buying all the things that he deemed necessary. 1 hour later, Alex finished buying everything. Since he can't bring it by hand, it was all made to be delivered to his house. By the way, Alex also bought all kinds of meats, vegetables, fruits, and condiments. Once he got everything, Alex left the mall and rode a taxi back home. Just as the taxi arrived outside his house, Alex saw a truck with Royal Mall sign on it. Nice, the things I bought have also arrived. Alex paid the fare and stepped out of the taxi. Outside the truck, there is already a mall staff waiting for Alex. So when he saw him, he immediately approached Alex. He said, sir, all of your things are inside the truck. Alex nodded, good, please help me put all of it down. Okay, sir. The staff called another person inside the truck and they started carefully putting Alex's things on the ground. When they finished, Alex gave them some money and they left. Now then, I should put all of this in my inventory first. One by one, Alex placed his items in his inventory. It didn't take long before he's done. I finally got everything in my inventory, now it's time for me to fix the restaurant. Not wanting to waste more time, Alex went straight to the altar dimension. The next second, Alex appeared inside the lucky dungeon. But before he even did anything, he heard a loud knocking on the door. Thud. 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 Where's the owner of this place? Come out, said a man in a harsh tone. Hearing that voice, Alex raised an eyebrow. That voice, is it Ben? Alex opened the door and just as he expected, he saw Ben standing outside. However, he's not alone. Behind him, a group of thugs with imposing attitudes were following. Then, when Alex opened the door, a man with a slightly different aura came to the front and faced Alex. While puffing a smoke, the man looked directly into Alex's eyes and said, "So, are you the one that killed my men?" Chapter 41. Employees acquired. Looking at the man smoking in front of him, Alex frowned and said, "Get rid of that. I don't allow smoking here." Then he turned around and walked back inside, leaving the door open. The group of thugs outside looked at each other before turning their eyes at the man leading them. Don. Don stared at Alex's back for a while with a thoughtful look before pinching the tip of his tobacco, stopping the fire. Then he entered the building followed by a bunch of thugs. Once they are all inside, Alex faced Don with his arms crossed in front of him and said, "So, what's the reason you people are barging here in my place again?" Don stepped forward and said, "Just like I said, I am here to ask whether it's you who killed my men." With an indifferent face, Alex said, "So what if I did? Wasn't it you who sent them here to their death?" Hearing that, Don paused for a moment and said, "That means you admitted to your crimes, right? Then there's nothing more for me to say. Boys, get rid of him." With Don's order, all the thugs following behind Don except for Ben rushed towards Alex with all kinds of weapons in their hands. "We'll break your legs. We will make you regret acting so arrogant. You dare kill our brothers. Die." Without hesitation, they raised their hands and attacked Alex. Alex wasn't fazed, he narrowed his eyes and just cast magic. Wind Blade. Alex threw the blade of wind at the group of thugs rushing at him, instantly ending their pitiful attempt to attack. Ah! Arg! No! They flew back and fell down on the ground, bleeding from the sharp wind blades that hit them. In just one hit, Alex managed to incapacitate all of his enemies. Alex wasn't surprised. He already checked their levels earlier. These thugs are only around level 4 to level 7. Clearly, they are just beginners. For Alex to end them, he doesn't even have to put in any effort. Seeing what happened to his men, Don's pupil shrank. What? He took out everyone with just one attack. He thought, in shock at the display of power that Alex just did. Don't think that because he's the boss of Blade Gang, Don would be a strong man. No, the truth is Don is just a level 16. His stats are nothing great. They may even look pitiful in the eyes of Alex. This is also why most of his underlings do not even pass level 10. Because if he recruited people whose level is 10 or higher, there's a high probability that he will not be able to manage them properly. Actually, in the whole Cupido town, Blade Gang doesn't really amount to anything. All they can do is harass normal people and steal their money. And the scope of their activity is just a few streets inside the town. As for why, that's because there are real gangs that operate in this town. After getting rid of all the lackeys, Alex turned his eyes to Don. Don flinched. "Why you, what are you looking at?" At this point, Don's attitude from earlier has disappeared. Fear can't help but start growing in his heart as he looks at Alex. Alex stared at him for a while and said, "Do you have nothing else to show beside these weaklings?" Hearing Alex's words, Don didn't know how to react. However, he felt upset. Those people that Alex called weaklings, they are his underlings. Calling them weaklings is equivalent to calling him weak. Feeling that he's being looked down upon, Don felt ashamed and angry. He clenched his fist and seemed like he's about to explode. But thinking of Alex's prowess, Don still didn't do anything in the end. He knows that he's no match against Alex, that's why he endured the feeling of humiliation inside him. To Alex's question, he has no response. He just stood there, unmoving. Alex slowly made his way towards him and stopped just a few inches away. With an indifferent face, he said, you were acting all high and mighty with only this much power. Don clenched his fist harder that his nails burrowed into his skin, making blood come out. Shaking his head, Alex turned around and sat on the stairs leading to the second floor. He looked at Don again and said, "Your name is Don, correct?" Don reluctantly nodded. With Don's confirmation, Alex asked, "Then Don, are you satisfied with your life?" Don was surprised by the sudden question. He raised his head and looked at Alex with a confused face. Alex looked at him with nonchalant face. AMD said, "A wannabe gang boss of a small group of weak people, is this what you wanted in life?" Don didn't immediately answer. With a bowed head, he said, "Of course not. Being a gang boss, it wasn't something I thought of ever becoming in the past." He raised his head and looked at Alex straight in his eyes and continued. "But, life is hard and I have to live. As someone from the slums, people look down on me. They think that I'm dirty and evil because I came from the slums. I was hungry, so I started looking for a job. But no one is willing to hire me because they thought I would do something bad to their business. Even when I hunt monsters and try to sell their materials, people don't buy from me because they think I stole them. In the end, becoming like this, a wannabe gang boss as you have called, is what I can only turn into." Don's words were full of helpless emotions. Obviously, the discrimination against those people from the slums is really heavy in this town. It arrived to the point that it became the reason why evil people became what they are. Alex remained staring at Don for a little more time before he said, "So, you're telling me that you only became like this because you had no choice? Then if I offer you and the people under you a job, will you accept it?" Hearing Alex's words, Don was stunned. "Are you serious?" Alex nodded, "Yes, there's a few things that I want you guys to do. Right now, I am planning to open a restaurant in this place. Because of that, I will be needing manpower to do various things. Don't worry, I will pay you a generous amount of money. So, are you willing?" Don nodded without hesitation. "Yes." "Good," Alex nodded, satisfied, "you all will now be my restaurant Slav employees." Chapter 42. Dungeon Level Up. After successfully hiring Don, Alex immediately put them to work. Thanks to becoming subordinates of Alex, the Skill Lord's sanctuary started affecting the injured thugs, healing their wounds from Alex's attack. Immediately, they were amazed by such power. As inhabitants of Alter Dimension, they are not ignorant of skills. Even them have their own skills. However, the healing power of Lord's sanctuary is still an amazing thing to them who are just at low levels. Anyway, with their injuries gone, they were able to work without any problem. So, Alex called everyone to give an order. The group of thugs gathered around him while their leader, Don, stood in the forefront. Seeing that they are all here, Alex started speaking, "As you all already know, this place will soon be open as a restaurant. Now, your task is to advertise and let people know that there's an amazing restaurant opening here. Understood?" "Yes, boss," Don responded. With that, Don and his lackeys left the lucky dungeon to complete Alex's order. With them out of the way, Alex turned his eyes to Ben, who's been silent the whole time. Noticing Alex's eyes on him, Ben was frightened. Boss, that. I successfully finished what you ordered me to do." Alex smiled, he said, "Relax, you did a good job in bringing them here. Now, tell me how you did it." Hearing that, Ben breathed a sigh of relief. "Okay, boss." But just as he said that, a hesitant look appeared on his face. Alex frowned, he asked, "What? Is there a problem?" Seeing Alex's face, Ben hurriedly said, "And no, boss, it's just, I don't really know why Don decided to attack today." Raising an eyebrow, Alex said, Explain it to me." Scratching his head, Ben said, "Actually, boss, when I arrived back at the headquarters, Don just called me to report to him. Then I honestly told him most of the things that happened when we encountered you. After that, he dismissed me without saying anything. Then suddenly, this afternoon, Don gathered everyone up and told us that we will be avenging our dead brothers, John and Robert." After he finished talking, Ben peeked at Alex's face to see his reaction. He saw that Alex had a thoughtful look on his face as if pondering about what he just said. After a while, Alex stopped thinking and said, "Okay, I got it. I will just ask Don directly later." Alex ended the topic and turned his attention back to the building. Alex said, "Well then, it's about time for me to start placing the furniture." Turning his eyes back to Ben, Alex said, "You should go and help Don advertise the restaurant." "Okay, boss." After saying that, Ben left the restaurant. Seeing that he's finally alone, Alex opened the dungeon menu. Dungeon menu. Name, Lucky Dungeon. Level, LV1, plus. Owner, 0. Dungeon skills, Dungeon Monitor, Inspect, Dungeon Portal. Dungeon points, 17. Seeing the plus sign beside the dungeon level, Alex smiled. "I finally have enough points to level up the dungeon." Letting them enter inside the restaurant was really the right thing to do. Unlike human and monsters level that needs experience points, what dungeons need to level up is dungeon points. That is why Alex let Don and the thugs stepped inside earlier instead of dealing with them directly. Leveling up a dungeon has various benefits, such as increasing the size of the dungeon, giving blessings to the dungeon master, unlocking new skills, etc. Anyway, since Alex has sufficient points now, he didn't hesitate to level up the dungeon. Ding! Congratulations, your dungeon Lucky Dungeon leveled up to level 2. Lucky Dungeon has been strengthened. Dungeon Master 0 has been strengthened. Your dungeon acquired the skill Reconstruction. You dungeon acquired the skill Monster Summon. Seeing the multiple notifications, a smile crept up Alex's lips. At the same time, he felt a warm energy coming out of the dungeon core in his body. Then it started coursing through his whole body, making Alex feel comfortable as if he's in a sauna. Ah! Unknowingly, a small sound escaped from his mouth. Immediately, Alex snapped out of it and looked around him. Seeing that he's still alone, he was relieved. He turned back his attention to the notification and said, "Was that warm energy from leveling up the dungeon? It says that it strengthened me, I wonder if I can see it in my stats." Curiously, Alex opened his character to look at his status. But when he saw it, his jaw dropped to the ground. Name, 0. Class, Dungeon Master. Level, 17. Talent, Fortune's Embodiment. Health, 60-60/60-60. Mana, 52-60/52-60. Strength, 500 Constitution, 500 Agility, 500 Intelligence, 500 Charisma, 500. Free attributes, 0. Skill points, 84. Skills, Sacrifice, U, Monster Manipulation, A, Lord's Sanctuary, A, Fireball, D, Earth Spike, D, Wind Blade, D, Freeze, D, Water Ball, D, Stealth, D, Concealment, A. Alex was shocked to see that all of his attributes suddenly increased by 200 points each. Leveling up the dungeon once already brought me this much benefit. Alex didn't expect that the strengthening of the level up was such an amazing thing. Seeing just how overpowered his stats are, Alex said, "Since my stats have already reached 500 points each, is it possible for me to defeat enemies that have gone through advancement now?" Thinking of that, Alex felt his blood boil. For some reason, he wants to try out his strength and see just far is his limit now. Taking a deep breath, Alex suppressed his excitement. "I should do that next time. For now, I still have to finish fixing the restaurant so people start gathering here, then I can earn more points." After saying that, Alex looked back at the other notifications and saw the new skills the dungeon acquired. When his eyes fell into the skill Reconstruction, Alex smiled and said, "This skill came just at the perfect time." With that said, Alex looked back at the old interior of the building. Then he said, "It's about time to make this place worthy of becoming the best restaurant in the whole town." Chapter 43. Dragon Egg. Reconstruction. Effect: reconstruct the dungeon to the dungeon master's ideal. You can shape the dungeon however you want and add anything that you like to add. Consumption: none. Cooldown: 1 month. Reconstruction, as its name says, allows one to reconstruct the whole dungeon whichever the dungeon master wants. With this skill, Alex can create rooms, add traps, and make the dungeon look scary or beautiful. Anyway, reconstruction is just a really useful and also necessary skill for dungeon masters in handling their dungeons. This was also a skill that Alex already expected to get after leveling up to level 2. Now, with this skill in hand, Alex immediately started reconstructing the lucky dungeon. First thing that Alex did was change the material of the building. In just an instant, the old and tattered woods of the building were replaced by concrete, cement, and a few other materials. Because of that, the old building that seemed close to collapsing instantly became strong and sturdy. After that, Alex created a kitchen on the first floor where he's in. It was clean and spacious and it looked like a high-class kitchen. Then, Alex proceeds to shape the lobby and the dining area. At the same time, he also took out the chairs and tables that he bought earlier and placed them all over the dining area. Alex didn't stop and continued reconstructing the restaurant until 8 o'clock in the evening. At this point, the previous old building is nowhere to be found. In the location where it stands before, a modern building now stands. And that modern building is of course, the Lucky Dungeon. Alex did a few things with this reconstruction. First is that, on the first floor, he added a kitchen, a public comfort room, a counter where you can order food, and a lobby. On the second floor, this is where the dining area is located. Here, a few tables of various sizes are placed that can accommodate a lot of guests. The third floor is also a dining area, however, Alex removed a part of the roof here and created an open-air dining area. Besides those 3 floors, Alex also created something under the restaurant. And that is, a labyrinth. As for why, Alex thought that even though Lucky Dungeon will now be acting as a restaurant, its identity as a dungeon should remain. Beside that, Alex also has another plan for this labyrinth. Anyway, Alex looked at the result of his reconstruction of the restaurant and a big smile appeared on his face. Phew, now that the reconstruction has finished, the old building has really changed greatly. Walking around the building, Alex can't help but feel more and more satisfied with it. He walked out of the building to look at it from the outside. However, because it is dark now, nothing much can be seen, so he turned back and went inside. The common item used as light in this world is still candles and lamps. Because of that, unlike in the modern world, there's no street lights, so it's really dark outside. Anyway, now that he's done, Alex decided to go back and rest for now. With a thought, Alex disappeared in the building, and when he appeared again, he was back in his house on Earth. Just when he arrived home, a loud sound came out from his stomach. Growl. I've been busy all afternoon, now I'm really hungry. Saying that, Alex entered the kitchen and was about to make dinner. However, when he opened the refrigerator, he found it empty. Alex paused before letting out a sigh. I just stocked up on food not long ago, but now it's all gone already. Maybe it's because of the improvement on his strength, but Alex noticed the change in his appetite in the past few days. At first, it wasn't obvious. But as his level increases, the more food Alex needs to fill himself. Because of that, his stock of food was immediately consumed by him. Sighing, Alex said, I guess I'll just have to eat fast food tonight. Saying that, Alex closed the refrigerator and walked out of his house. It's already 8 p.m. at this time and the sky is already dark. Because of the pollution, the stars in the sky can't be seen when you look up. Alex started running in the direction of the city center. Alex ran at a moderate speed and enjoyed the cool breeze of the night. Less than 5 minutes later, Alex arrived at a popular fast food chain and bought 5 cheeseburgers, 3 fried chicken, and 2 sodas. After getting it, Alex went to a random building and climbed to the rooftop. Sitting on the edge of the rooftop with his feet dangling in the air, Alex bit into his cheeseburger. Watching over the busy city, Alex took a deep breath and said, doing things like this, it feels comfortable and relaxing. While he's eating his cheeseburger, Alex opens his inventory. Inside, there's only 3 slots filled with items. They are pistol, clothes, and stone. Stone is the reward that Alex chose from the treasury of Rolando's family last time. Since he's been busy, Alex didn't get the time to carefully look at it until now. Thinking of that, Alex took out the stone from his inventory. Then an ordinary-looking stone suddenly appeared on Alex's hand. Looking at the stone, Alex contemplated, I wonder what this is. The stone was smooth to the touch as if it's been polished for a long time, and it wasn't light nor heavy. With curiosity, Alex decided to use inspect on the stone. Soon, the identity of the stone was revealed to Alex, giving him a shock. Dragon egg. Details: before dying of old age, Dragon Tsirga used his magic to reincarnate himself, turning him into a dragon egg. Note: it needs attribute points to hatch. 0/1000. What? Alex stared at it, wide-eyed. But after a few seconds, Alex returned to calm. Looking intently at the dragon egg on his hands, he said, I didn't expect it. I would actually own a dragon egg. Chapter 44. Hatching. Meanwhile, as Alex is appreciating the dragon egg, In the suburbs of Pearl City, a huge manor is located. Even though it's already night time, a lot of servants can still be seen going here and there inside the manor. This is the Ravens family manor. The place where Chris and her father Rolando lives along with their whole family. In the dining room, Chris, Rolando, and a few other people sat on a long table. At the head of the seat, an old man with white hair but muscular body sat. That old man has an aura of dignity around him, showing that he's someone who's been in a high position for a long time. Even though he's already old, his eyes are still sharp and his body doesn't seem to show any signs of decline. This old man is the father of Rolando and also the previous head of the Raven family, Jonathan Raven. As the servants prepared the food on the table, Jonathan scanned the people around the table with his eyes. Jonathan has 2 sons and 1 daughter. They are Rolando, Glenn, and Rosa. As the eldest brother, Rolando naturally became the next head of the family. At this time, Jonathan looked at Rolando and said, "Rolando, I heard that you rewarded a kid who helped you solve the recent trouble that occurred. Is that true?" Hearing Jonathan's question, Rolando respectfully replied, "Yes, father." Jonathan slowly nodded his head, then he said, "So, how did it go? What reward did you give him?" "Father, since I didn't know I should reward him with, I just invited him into our treasury to let him choose something that he likes. Since he seems like someone with great potential, I also wanted to form ties with him." Rolando said. You did a good job," Jonathan casually said. Then he suddenly asked, "By the way, what item did that kid choose? Was it the blood sword that grows stronger the more blood it absorbs? Or maybe it was the goddess's tears necklace that enhanced the overall stats of its wearer? Tell me." Hearing the items mentioned by Jonathan, Rolando shook his head. "No, father. He didn't choose any of that." Jonathan stared at him and said, "What then?" Rolando raised his head and looked into Jonathan's eyes. He said, "Father, what he chose was the stone that you found in Tsirga's nest." Hearing that, Jonathan slowly nodded his head without much care. "Ooh, the stone that I found in Tsirga's nest, hey. Wait." Jonathan paused. It seems like he was trying to digest the words that Rolando just said. After a while, his face suddenly turned dark. In a low and almost growling voice like a lion before it attacked, Jonathan spoke. "Rolando. Did you just say that you gave away the stone I found in Tsirga's nest?" Not noticing the changes in Jonathan's demeanor, Rolando nodded his head as usual and said, "Yes, father, you heard me right." When he heard that, Jonathan finally exploded. His aura started climbing rapidly, and with a burst, with a mad look on his face, he yelled, "Why the hell did you do that? Didn't I tell you to not touch it? Do you even have a clue what the hell that stone is?" Seeing the outbursts of his father, Rolando was dumbfounded. It seems like he made a grave mistake from the way Jonathan reacted. With uncertainty, he said, "Dad, calm down. Is there something with that stone? Didn't you tell me that it's just a souvenir you brought from the dragon nest?" Hearing that, Jonathan got more angry, not just to Rolando but also to himself. Why did I forget to remind him of that stone's true identity? Jonathan felt his heart bleeding. He sat back in his seat and tried to control his emotions. The dining room fell into a silence. No one dared to say anything while Jonathan was trying to calm himself. They all looked at Jonathan with mixed emotions in their heart. After a while, Jonathan finally recovered. At this time, there's no more anger around him, only depression and helplessness. With a sigh, Jonathan started talking, telling them the true information of that stone that he hid from everyone. "Everyone, listen up, now I will tell you all about the secret of that stone." A couple of minutes later, everyone stared at Jonathan with wide eyes. In their heads, they exclaimed, "A dragon egg!" After learning that the stone he got was a dragon egg, Alex went back to his house at his fastest speed. Once he's back, he sat on the sofa with the dragon egg in his hands. "This, a real dragon egg. Dragons are one of the top races in the altar world. They are feared, respected, or worshipped by the other races because of their strength and powers. There are only a small number of dragons in the altar world. However, each one of them are beings that stand above the rest of the world. They are capable of reducing an entire kingdom to ashes if they ever wish to." Even though this is just information that Alex received from the Dungeon Master's core before, he can still feel the majesty of the dragons. And now, an egg of such a being lays in the hand of Alex, waiting to be hatched. Thinking of that, Alex felt a little agitated. Forcing himself to calm down, Alex stared at the egg for a long time. Finally, Alex made a decision and said, "Starting tomorrow, I should start hatching this egg." Looking at the condition for the egg to hatch, Alex can't help but smile. This condition, it might be hard to fulfill for others since you can only get free attributes when you level up. But to me, who have sacrifice, I just have to kill a few enemies and I'll get enough free attribute points. Saying that, Alex felt ecstatic. Then, Alex looked at the dragon egg and suddenly thought of Rolando. I wonder if he knew that this was actually a dragon egg. But immediately, Alex denied his guess. Impossible, he wouldn't give it to me if he knew what it was. Alex stopped thinking about it. He threw the dragon egg back into his inventory and decided to head to bed. What he didn't know is, the Raven family is now in turmoil. Chapter 45. Honey Trap. What a wonderful day we have today. Alex woke up and started stretching. He got out of bed with a smile on his face. Today is Saturday and Alex doesn't have to go to school. Because of that, he plans to open his restaurant in Alter Dimension today and start earning dungeon points. That's the reason for Alex's happy mood. While eating breakfast, Alex is thinking about what food he should put on the menu. I wonder what the natives will like. I guess, I can add fried chicken to the menu since it can never go wrong. Plus soup, rice, and adding a dessert is also a good idea. Alex noted down some foods that he thinks the people of Cupido Town will like. By the time he finished eating, Alex had also completed his prototype restaurant menu. Next, he will have to go to the market and buy every ingredient needed. Without wasting time, Alex left his house and headed to the public market. It's only 8 AM now, but the public market is already bustling with people. You can hear the vendors yelling here and there, calling for customers. "Hey, ma'am, try out our shrimp, it's freshly caught just this morning, don't hesitate anymore and buy some. Hello, ma'am and sirs, please take a look at these mangoes, they are sweet and tasty. Everyone, buy our chicken, buy our chicken, buy our chicken." With a list on his head, Alex went to a store one after another buying out the necessary ingredients for his menu. It didn't take long for him to procure everything he needed. With that done, Alex immediately rode a taxi and went back home. Once he arrived home, Alex used his thoughts and immediately traveled to the Alter Dimension. Coincidentally, at the exact time that he went to the Alter Dimension. In the Raven's manner, Rolando dialed Alex's phone number with an anxious expression. He walked back and forth while muttering, pick up, please pick up. Ka cheek. The number you have dialed is in an out of coverage area, please try again later. The number you have dialed. Hearing the automatic network operator, Rolando was depressed. He tried again for a couple more times, only to hear the same thing again and again. Finally, Rolando gave up and slumped on the sofa. Covering his face with his hand, he sadly whispered, "What the hell am I supposed to do now?" Around him, all of his family are looking at him with the same depressed look. Seeing the depressive atmosphere, his father, Jonathan, finally decided to speak. He sighed helplessly and said, "Stop it now. Since you have already given it, let's just let it go. It was something we gave him as a reward and taking it back now will just make us look unreliable." He stood up and walked through the door while saying, "Instead of thinking of ways to get the dragon egg back, we should start thinking of ways to attract him to our family." After saying that, Jonathan continued walking and left them in the room. When he heard the words that Jonathan said, Rolando suddenly paused. The next moment, his eyes started shining brightly. "That's right. Since we can't take the dragon egg back now, let's just take Alex to become a part of our family. That way, not only will we get back the dragon egg, we will also get a new strong player in our family." When he said that, the others in the room, mainly his siblings, immediately showed their support. "I think that's a brilliant idea, brother." "Yes. Father's suggestion was really on point," Glenn and Rosa said respectively. Suddenly, Chris, who's been silent all this time, asked, "Dad, how do you plan to attract Alex into our family? Based on how I know him, the chance of him going to us just because of benefits is low. So, I want to know what you plan to do." Hearing that question, Rolando suddenly showed a mysterious smile. He looked at Chris and said, "Good question, my dear daughter." Walking towards Chris, he looked straight into her eyes and held her shoulders, saying, "The answer to that question is, you." "Hey? Me? An incredulous look appeared on Chris' face after hearing Rolando's words. Suddenly, her face changed and she hurriedly waved her hand. No, 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 not a chance, Dad. To that, Rolando, as well as Glenn and Rosa just smiled. That day, in order to attract Alex, a honey trap is slowly brewing. Altered dimension, Lucky Dungeon. After he arrived in the Lucky Dungeon, Alex directly went to the kitchen. Placing the ingredients he bought on the countertop, Alex started preparing for today's opening. By the way, since the lighting in this world still uses candles, lamps, or torches, Alex already bought some light bulbs earlier in the market. Yesterday, when he reconstructed the building, Alex had already made spots where the light bulbs could be installed. As you may have already guessed, there's no electricity here and so, magic will be the energy that will make the lights work. Thus, Alex went ahead and installed the light bulbs in preparation for the opening. The first floor, second floor, third floor, and even outside, Alex placed light bulb everywhere. When he finished, just in time, a knock sounded from the door. Talk. 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 Alex looked in the direction of the door and said, Is it Don and his minions? Alex used Dungeon Monitor to see who's knocking outside. When he saw the person outside the door, Alex subconsciously frowned. What's a guard doing here? Behind the door, a man wearing a uniform of a civil guard was standing. Beside him is a middle-aged woman who's a bit chubby with an unsightly face. While he was looking at them through the monitor, the civil guard knocked again and loudly said, Is there anyone there? Please open the door. Alex thought about it for a bit before closing the dungeon monitor. He slowly made his way to the entrance and opened the door. Then with an indifferent face, he asked, What's the problem? Chapter 46. Officially open. Facing the guard and the ugly woman, Alex asked, What's the problem? When they saw him, the guard and the woman were startled. The guard immediately composed himself and greeted, Good day, sir, I am Kevin, a civil Kevin. Alex nodded at him and also introduced himself, I'm Alex, new to this town, please take care of me. The two shook hands after the introduction. Then, Alex curiously asked, Can you please tell me the reason for this visit? Kevin nodded and pointed at the woman beside him and said, Sir, this lady over here has reported to us that there's something strange that happened here. She said that this property of yours suddenly transformed overnight from an old building to what it is now. As he finished talking, Kevin eyed the building for a while before turning his inquiring eyes to Alex. Before Alex even said anything, the ugly woman beside Kevin said, That's right, how did this dilapidated place suddenly turn into this? Alex just took a glance at her before turning his eyes back to Kevin and said, It's something I did using magic. Why? Is that not allowed? Hearing the words that Alex said, surprise flashed through Kevin and the woman's eyes. Hurriedly, Kevin excitedly said, Oh. So, sir is actually a mage. What an honor it is to talk to you. In this world, the natives can't choose their own class like what Alex did when he created his character. Instead, when they turn 10 years old, they need to go to the church to activate their connection to the world system. When that happens, they already have a class. That's why, for the people of this world, whether you'll have a good class or not is all up to luck. Most people get a class from one of the beginner classes like warrior, archer, assassin, cleric, and mage. Out of those 5, mage is the rarest and also the class known for having the greatest firepower. Of course, there are also exceptions who didn't get any of those 5 classes. Beside the 5 beginner classes, there are also hidden classes. Hidden classes are multiple times more powerful than the 5 beginner classes. For example, Guardian Knight who have amazing skills such as unbreakable defense. Dragon Rider who's capable of taming a dragon and forming a contract with them. And the most powerful hero class that can only be described as overpowered. There's a lot more other powerful hidden classes beside those 3. Alex's Dungeon Master class is also a hidden class, although it is a super rare class because only those chosen by the universe can become a Dungeon Master. Anyway, after hearing that Alex used magic to modify his property, the Kevin immediately thought that he was a mage. Alex didn't bother to correct him, he just smiled and asked, Is there anything more that you need? If not, I will go back inside now since I still have a lot of things to do. Kevin nodded repeatedly, he said, Yes, yes, there's nothing more, sir. We will go now. On the other hand, the ugly woman has already turned silent after hearing that Alex is a mage. Kevin turned back and was about to leave, but before he did, Alex said, Mr. Kevin. Kevin looked back at him in response, is there something, Mr. Alex? No, I just want to tell you that I'm turning this place into a restaurant. I hope you can stop by after it opens. Alex said. Hearing Alex's invitation, Kevin seems happy and said, since you personally invited me, I will make sure to make time to visit, Mr. Alex. After that, Kevin finally left with the ugly woman in tow. Looking at that woman, Alex muttered, she seems like a meddlesome woman, her name is probably Karen. Chuckling, Alex shook his head and walked back inside. Alex went to the kitchen and started preparing the ingredients. While he's doing that, just in time, Ben, Don, and his lackeys came. Looking at Alex who's chopping pork in the kitchen, Don said, Boss, we have completed our task. We have successfully advertised the restaurant throughout Cupido town. Raising his head, Alex looked at him and said, good, you all did a good job. I will give you all a good reward later. For now, help me open the restaurant. Call for some customers, attract them to enter and try our restaurant. With the promise of a good reward, Don and the others can't help but become more motivated. With big smiles, they loudly said, okay, boss. They immediately headed outside and started calling for people. Whenever there's a passerby, they will immediately try to advertise the restaurant to them. Hey, ma'am, you look very beautiful, why don't you try coming to our newly opened restaurant, it will make you more beautiful. Handsome brother. Come in here, a lot of beautiful customers are already inside, why not come in and see them for yourself? Oh, what a wonderful family you guys are, aren't you tired of walking? Then please come in and rest for a while inside our restaurant. All kinds of gimmicks were pulled by them and slowly, people started entering. After they come in, Don will guide them to an empty seat before handing them a list of food that they can order, written by Alex. Here's the menu, please take your time choosing. The customers curiously looked through the menu. From time to time, they asks him questions. At the kitchen, Alex was able to see all this and a smile involuntarily appeared on his face. He said, it seems like we're off to a good start. At this time, Don came to the kitchen and handed a list of orders to Alex. Boss, here's the order of those from table 1. Okay, give it to me, I'll prepare it now. Alex took the paper from Don and read the order. Adobo, sopas, fried chicken, and fruit juice, got it. The order will be finished in 10 minutes. Chapter 47. Because I am overpowered. Customers started coming in with the help of Don's lackey promoting it outside. Because of that, Alex also started becoming busy inside the kitchen. After cooking for a couple of hours, Alex, who's chopping meat in the kitchen, frowned. As the boss, I shouldn't need to personally cook, right? Should I hire a chef? Saying that, Alex subconsciously moved his eyes to Don outside the kitchen. Last night, when Don and his group came to the restaurant, Alex used inspect on them. That's when he saw that Don, the leader of a gang, actually had chef as his class. Alex was a bit surprised by this but didn't care about it too much. Because of that, now Alex decided to make Don the chef of his lucky restaurant. So, while cooking, Alex called Don. Don. Hurriedly, Don entered the kitchen and asked, Boss, is there something you need? Alex nodded, yeah, come here, I want to ask you something. Walking closer, Don asked, what is it, boss? Alex put down the knife and looked at him, he said. Don, your class is chef, right? Hey. In response to his question, Don showed a confused look. Then, as if he understood something, Don's face changed. With a trembling voice, he asked, boss, you mean, I have a class? This time, it's Alex's turn to be confused, hey? Of course, you have. Everyone does. After a pause, Alex guessed something and said, you don't know about your own class. Don shook his head, confirming Alex's thought. Alex frowned, how did you not know about your class? Letting out a helpless sigh, Don said, my family is poor, because of that, we weren't able to go to the church to activate our world system. World system is equivalent to the rule where you can interact with the world itself. By not having it activated, it is almost like becoming a cripple. Listening to Don, a look of understanding dawned to Alex. So that's what happened. The church asked people to pay first before they activate the people's world system. Alex looked at Don and said, since you weren't able to activate yours, that means there's a lot of people who haven't activated their world system yet, right? Don nodded, yes, boss. Actually, all of my people haven't activated their world system. Hearing that, a thoughtful look appeared on Alex's face. Blurb blurb blurb. But he was interrupted by the sound of boiling water on the stove. Oh, wait. I forgot that I'm still cooking. Alex hurriedly turned off the fire and sighed. On the side, Don's hesitant voice sounded, Boss, if you don't need me anymore, I'll go back now and serve the customers. Alex turned his gaze back at him and in a serious tone, he said, No, you don't have to go back now. From now on, you will be the main chef of our restaurant, got that? Saying that, Alex waved his hand and a thick book appeared on his hands. He handed it to Don, saying, Here's a recipe book. Use it as a guide when you're cooking. Then he also took off his apron and gave it to Don. With a smile, Alex said, Anyway, I will be going now, good luck. After that, Alex immediately disappeared. Don, who was suddenly left behind by Alex, remained standing there, surprised by the turn of events. But as he was dazing, a loud voice of a customer from the dining area. Hey, is my order still not ready? Don was startled, but immediately he managed to gather himself and replied, Your order is about to be finished soon. After that, he looked at the recipe book and started studying it intently while finishing the dishes that Alex was cooking. Black Forest. Kun's lair. A portal suddenly appeared and Alex jumped out of it. When he saw that he successfully arrived in Kun's lair, he smiled. Good, I finally don't have to cook anymore. Instead of wasting my time there to cook for other people, I still prefer going out to hunt and increase my level. He said in a matter-of-fact tone. Alex walked out of the dungeon and with his thoughts, he called Fairy. Fairy, come here. After that, Alex stood outside the dungeon for a while before he heard the sound of the wind approaching from the forest in front. Then, a few seconds later, a 2-meter-tall wolf with green fur jumped out from the forest, landing in front of Alex. Seeing it, Alex smiled and chuckled, Fairy. Woof. Fairy looked at him with sparkling eyes. Behind him, his tail is wagging endlessly. Alex rubbed Fairy's neck and said, How have you been? Woof. As if to answer his question, Fairy showed a mighty posture. Alex chuckled then used Inspect on Fairy. Immediately, Fairy's stats appeared in front of him. Wind Wolf Leader, Fairy. Level 19. Strength, 62 Constitution, 43 Agility, 76 Intelligence, 39 Wind, 21. Looking at Fairy's status, Alex was a little surprised by how high Fairy's level increased. He looked at Fairy and praised him, Wow, you really did a good job, Fairy. Woof. Alex turned his eyes back at Fairy's status and saw an additional attribute. Wind? Is this also a hidden attribute like my charisma? Well, I'm not surprised that he got that since he's a wind wolf. I remember last time, when I encountered that Aswang, it also had the darkness attribute. Alex analyzes it for a while before dismissing it. Next, it's now time for them to start hunting. Fairy, let's go, we're going to hunt to our heart's content. Woof. Riding on Fairy's back, they galloped deep into the Black Forest to find a stronger monster. Black Forest is very wide and is divided into 5 layers. The first layer is where Alex is currently located. Only weak monsters with levels from 1 to 24 stay here. Next, the second layer, there you will find 1-star monsters. 1-star monsters are those that have gone through advancement at level 25. In the second layer, most of the monsters are already 1-star monsters. Because of that, the competition between each monster is fierce, making the second layer a very dangerous area for no-star people like Alex. Despite that danger, Alex is still planning to head there. As for why? Well, it's because he's overpowered. Chapter 48. First Advancement. Thanks to Fairy leveling up and increasing his agility as well as gaining the wind attribute stat, they were able to travel at a fast speed. Along the way, they encountered a few monsters. However, Alex didn't bother with them and just continued traveling. By the way, even though they traveled at a fast speed, there was no sound of Fairy's footsteps. The only sound that can be heard is the sound of the wind going around the forest. Just like that, Alex and Fairy proceed deeper into the forest silently. Soon, they arrived at the boundary between the first and second layer. Seeing that, Alex patted Fairy and said, slow down, we're already at the second layer. Make sure to be on alert, our enemies from now on will be 1-star monsters. To answer Alex, instead of barking, Fairy nodded its head. While remaining vigilant, the monster and human pair started exploring the second layer carefully. After entering the second layer, the surroundings became slightly dimmer. This is because of the dense trees that almost cover the forest from sunlight. This is also the origin of the name Black Forest. Because the deeper you go into the forest, the darker the surrounding is. Fairy didn't dare run at full speed, lest he attract some ferocious monster. After walking for a while, the two encountered their first monster here in the second layer. It was a 3-meter-tall monster with a humanoid body but the head of a pig. People who like fantasy are probably familiar with it. It's an orc. Looking at its big body, Alex was pretty sure that this monster is pretty powerful. On its hand, it is holding a metal bat with spikes on it. If ever you get hit by that, you'll be full of holes after. To learn more about it, Alex decided to use Inspect. Orc. Level 31, 1 star. Strength, 116 Constitution 132 Agility, 46 Intelligence, 62. After seeing the orc's stats, Alex relaxed his tensed nerves. He turned his eyes at the orc and chuckled, this orc is pretty weak, its highest stat, which is the Constitution, is only 132. Saying that, Alex felt a little dismissive of the orc. Meanwhile, as Alex was looking at its stats, the orc had already come closer. Thud. 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 Every step that it takes was accompanied by a loud sound. When it was just a few meters away from Alex, it stopped, and like any other monster, it roared at them. Roar. That roar seems to cause a shockwave by how powerful it is. Fairy retreated by a few meters while resisting it. As for Alex, he just stood there, observing the orc. Because of the large difference in stats, Alex was totally unaffected by the power of that roar. With a nonchalant expression, Alex muttered, for this roar to have this much power, it should be caused by a skill. Saying that, Alex casually cast a skill and threw it at the orc. Fireball. The fireball flew towards the orc and exploded when it hit the monster. Boom. Shriek. The orc cried loudly. After a few seconds it finally turned silent. When the smoke subsided, Alex only saw the figure of the burnt orc on the ground. Because of Alex's intelligence stat, the power of his magic has also greatly increased. Even though Fireball is just a D-rank skill, it managed to take down a level 31 1-star orc that's known for their thick skin that gave them great defense in just one hit. Alex wasn't surprised by this. Actually, this is also why Alex has the confidence to go deeper into the Black Forest. Now, his stats even overwhelms 1-star monsters. After taking down the orc, multiple notifications sounded in his head. Ding! You killed a 1-star level 31 orc, plus 31,000 experience points. Congratulations, you leveled up. Congratulations, you leveled up. With just one monster, Alex managed to level up by 4 times. And that monster was only a normal 1-star monster, not a boss monster like the red bear. Alex smiled happily, my decision was right. Coming here to the second layer was really a good idea. Also, the monsters here don't pose any threats to me, so it's very safe. The more he thinks about it, the more Alex feels like this is the right decision. After that, Alex used sacrifice on the orc's body and it lit up for a second before disappearing. You sacrificed a 1-star monster, you gained 10 attribute points. Seeing that, Alex was a little surprised. Oh, I got 10 attribute points this time. So using sacrifice on 1-star monsters gives more attribute points, hey. Alex slowly nodded his head, seemingly satisfied with the result. I should hunt more while I'm here. If I can get enough attribute points, I can directly hatch the dragon egg immediately. With that thought, Alex called Fairy and they started exploring the second layer more. The environment of the first and second layer of Black Forest doesn't really differ much from each other besides it being slightly darker in the latter. Because of that, Alex just hunted like how he did in the first layer. For half an hour, Alex and Fairy hunted every monster that they met and their levels both rose rapidly. Oh, if you're curious, Alex only let Fairy last hit monsters that he already damaged so that Fairy can also level up. And after only hunting for half an hour, Alex finally hit level 25. Ding! Congratulations, you leveled up. Your level have reached the current limit, level 25. The quest First Advancement has been formed. First Advancement. Details: you have reached level 25, the limit for no star. To continue leveling, enter the Tower of Trials and advance to 1 star. Based on how well you do in the Tower of Trials, your status can multiply by multiple times. Reward: advance to 1 star, increased stats. Seeing the sudden quest in front of him, Alex stopped. Tower of Trials, I guess I need to go back first. Chapter 49. Unknown to popular. Since he decided to go back, Alex didn't stay any longer. Fairy, let's go. It's time for us to go back. Woof. Alex sat on Fairy's back and started their journey back to the town. Along the way, Alex and Fairy met a couple of monsters and without fail, Alex killed them and used sacrifice. This is so that when he comes to the Tower of Trial and his stats multiplied, he will benefit a lot. Just like that, Alex killed monsters here and there and the free attribute points he has started piling up in his status panel. About an hour later, they came out of the Black Forest. The sun shining down from above landed on Alex and he squinted his eyes. Then seeing that they are out of the forest, he smiled, "We're finally out, Fairy." Woof woof. Still with a smile on his face, Alex and Fairy continued heading towards Cupido Town. Alex finally arrived in town just around after lunchtime. At this time, there's still a queue at the entrance of the town. One by one, they were inspected by the guards before letting them in. Alex got down from Fairy and fell in line. However, because of Fairy, a monster, it caused a small commotion with the people in line. Whoa, isn't a wind wolf? Yeah, that's a strong monster from the Black Forest. From the size of it, it seems to be a leader-class wind wolf. Damn, then, is that wind wolf that man's pet? Yeah, it seems like the case. They whispered among themselves while subconsciously moving away from Alex and Fairy. Seeing that, Alex gave an amicable smile and said, "Don't worry everyone. This wind wolf here has been tamed by me." As if to prove his words, he patted Fairy on its neck, to which Fairy showed a visibly pleased expression. Because of that, the people around relaxed their vigilance and started talking to Alex about some things related to tamed monsters. Alex gladly chatted with them while also waiting in line. After waiting for some time, soon, it was Alex's turn. While Alex was being inspected, the guard looked a bit tense but also curious about Fairy. To that, Alex didn't say anything. He just showed proof of his residency in Cupido Town, which was given by Kara before when Alex bought the old building. It didn't take long and Alex was allowed to enter the gate. But before he went in, a guard said to Alex, just to not cause any more commotion and panic within the townspeople, "Please put a collar on your tamed monster as soon as possible." "Okay, I'll do that, thank you." Alex nodded before going on his way. After walking for a couple of minutes, Alex arrived outside Lucky Restaurant. However, when Alex saw the situation of the Lucky Restaurant now, he was dumbfounded. Outside the restaurant, a long line of people are lining up. The line was even longer than the one at the town entrance. Now, standing outside, Alex doesn't know what happened for it to become like this in just a few hours. At this time, as Alex is questioning whether this is really his restaurant, one of the thugs that was previously assigned to call for customers outside noticed Alex. With a curious face, he approached Alex and said, "Boss? What are you doing here outside, boss?" Slowly turning his head at the thug, Alex pointed at the bustling restaurant in front of him and asked, "Hey, how did the restaurant become so popular in just a few hours?" When the thug heard his question, a smug look can't help but appear on his face. "Well, boss, isn't it all because of Boss Don's cooking?" After that, the thug told Alex what happened while he was gone. Basically, after he left, Don did his best and studied the recipe book that he gave him. Maybe it was because he has a chef class even though his world system is not yet activated, it showed its prowess, helping Don understand everything about cooking easily. After that, he finished the dishes that Alex started and served them to the customers. It was then that everything started. After the first customers tasted the food, they were surprised. The appetizing aroma, the wonderful texture of the food, as well as the overflowing flavor of the food. All of it gave them an experience that they never tasted before. After they finished eating, they introduced themselves. One of them is called Luis Goldberg, the owner of Goldberg Commerce, the biggest merchant in Cupido Town and other surrounding towns. After tasting the food, Luis was very happy, he said that he will be coming again. Then, when Luis left, for a while, the restaurant became empty. But not even a few minutes later, a bunch of people were heading towards the Lucky Restaurant. As for why, Lee Goldberg actually released a statement about the Lucky Restaurant, calling the food there the best food he has ever eaten. And, that is how everything turned into this. After hearing all that, Alex remained standing for a few seconds. He's really surprised by this turn of events. In just a few hours that he was gone to level up, his restaurant that was established just a few hours ago has gone from being unknown to a popular restaurant. A few seconds later, Alex recovered and turned his eyes back to the thug. Okay, I get it now. You can go back to work now. Okay, boss. Dismissed by Alex, the thug continued working, assisting the new customers. Alex looked at the restaurant for a while more before finally heading inside. Just like outside, the inside of the restaurant are also packed with people. The thugs are going here and there, acting as waiters, delivering food to each customer. Inside the kitchen, Alex saw Don, cooking something. On Don's face, he had a smile as he cooked food non-stop. Seeing that, Alex also smiled. He muttered, "It seems like I made the right decision of leaving it to Don." Chapter 50. Rewarding those who worked. Since it was so busy right now all over the restaurant, Alex decided to not disturb THM for now. Using stealth, Alex silently made his way to the underground floor, which is the labyrinth. By the way, Alex had his hand placed on Fairy so that stealth will also apply to him. Anyway, silently, Alex and Fairy made their way to the labyrinth. The entrance of the labyrinth is placed in the kitchen, in a hidden entrance Alex made. Since Don was so busy plus because of Alex's unnoticeable movements, no one saw him. Alex and Fairy successfully managed to slip into the labyrinth without attracting anyone's attention. After arriving at the labyrinth, Alex started looking around inspecting the labyrinth he made. The labyrinth actually consists of 3 levels. Each one of them is very wide, just this first level where Alex can fit 2 basketball courts. And it's only that big because that's the current maximum limit for the level 2 dungeon. As for the other levels, let's talk about it when the time comes. If not, Alex will probably make it even bigger. Looking around, he let out a satisfied sound, "Whew, I really did great in making this one, hey." The first level of the labyrinth is a maze. Alex plans to add a lot of traps and monsters here. Also, it wasn't dark in this labyrinth even without light because the walls are covered with a special material called glowing moss. Anyway, Alex walked around the labyrinth for a while with nothing much in mind. After waiting for quite some time, soon the clock hits 1 p.m. Seeing that, Alex smiled and decided to head up. Lunchtime is over, there should not be that much people there now, right? With that thought in mind, Alex headed upstairs. After he left the labyrinth and got back to the first floor, Alex saw Don, Ben, and the other guys sitting in the dining area. There's also no more customers and the door of the restaurant is also closed at this time. Alex walked towards them and said, "It seems like everyone worked hard, hey." When they suddenly heard his voice, Don and the others snapped their heads in Alex's direction. "Boss." Hurriedly, they stood up straight while looking at Alex attentively. Alex waved his hand and said, "Everyone, sit down. I saw that you all worked very hard today, resting is understandable." Since they are now his people, Alex will of course take care of them. As long as they work honestly and never do something that will make Alex mad, he will cover them to some extent. Hearing Alex's words, they looked at each other before hesitantly sat back down. Seeing that, Alex smiled. Then, he approached Don who had the most exhausted look within the group. Patting his shoulder, Alex said, "Don, you did a really great job today. Even though I left abruptly, leaving the kitchen in your hands, you still managed to cook great food that attracted so many people. Because of that, you're worthy of a reward." Don's tired eyes immediately lit up after hearing Alex's words. With a wide smile, he hurriedly stood up again and loudly said, "Thank you, boss." Watching all this, Don's men look at him with envious eyes. Wow, boss Don is really lucky, the boss is going to reward him. Yeah, how nice if I can also be rewarded. TCH, why don't you try cooking great food and attracting a lot of customers for the restaurant? Boss will probably also reward you. Ha, don't even think about it. Back in my house, when I tried cooking, I almost burned the whole house. Wow, that's a talent on its own. Haha, well, I hope the boss also rewards us someday. The thugs talked among themselves, expressing their emotions to one another. Alex did not pay attention to them. At this time, he raised his head and looked at a guy at the cornermost table. Alex called him, "Ben, come here." When they heard Ben being called, the other thugs turned their eyes in his direction at the same time. Seeing this, Ben felt a little uncomfortable. Shaking his head, he stood up from his seat and walked towards Alex. "Boss, is there anything you need?" "Ben, just like Don, you also haven't activated your world system, right?" Ben nodded, "Yes, boss." After hearing his reply, Alex nodded and said, "Then today, after the store closes, we will compute how much we've earned. If the amount of money we got today reaches a sufficient number, I will give the two of you money to go to the church and activate your world system. So try your best for today and earn as much as possible. Don't worry, this isn't what my promised reward is all about. After you two activate your world system, I will give it to you then." After saying all that at once, Alex looked at Don and Ben, who's now in a daze after listening to all that he said. A couple of seconds later, the two snapped out of their stupor and looked at Alex with disbelief. Don was the first to speak. He said, "Boss. Did you just say that you will help us activate our world system? Is that for real, boss?" Ben immediately followed, saying, "That's right, boss. Activating the world system is very expensive. That's the reason why we haven't been able to activate ours even though we're already at this age. Are you seriously telling us you will pay for it, boss?" Alex turned his eyes to Ben and with a smile, he casually said, "That's why I'm telling you all to work hard. If the earnings today can reach the number that is enough to pay for the activation of your world system, then you two will get what you want." Alex paused for a second before saying, "For me, the earnings don't really matter. All I truly wanted was for people to start coming to this place. That's all." Chapter 51. Using concealment. What Alex was not a lie. For the earnings of the restaurant, he doesn't really care much about it. For him, as long as a lot of people came to his dungeon, that was enough. Because as long as there's people, Alex can earn dungeon points that he can use to level up the dungeon and a few other things. Of course, if he can earn money as well, he won't decline it. Anyway, after Alex promised them, Don and Ben burned with motivation. "We will do our best, boss." Because of them, the others also got infected by their enthusiasm. With all of them like that, the atmosphere around the restaurant was really heated. Alex just silently watched them with a small smile. After a while, he asked Don, "Don, do you know about the trial tower?" Trial tower? Don thought about it for a second before shaking his head. "I don't think I've heard of it, boss. But maybe you can go to the Adventurer Guild, they have a lot of information there." Hearing that, Alex nodded, "Adventurer Guild, hey. I guess I'll go in that place out." After that, Alex thanked Don and headed out of the restaurant. When he got outside, Alex was surprised to see that there's still a long line of people waiting outside. Seeing that, Alex muttered, "It didn't even take a day for the restaurant to become this popular, hey. I guessed, it won't take long before it becomes the go-to restaurant of the people here since it tastes good and is also affordable." When Alex was preparing everything for the restaurant, he already put prices on the menu. Considering that the restaurant is located near the slums, most of the customers will probably be from the slums or the residences nearby. Knowing that, Alex intentionally lowered the prices of the foods on the menu. With that, a lot more people will be able to afford to eat at Lucky Restaurant. Thanks to that, people will frequent the restaurant, earning him more dungeon points. Anyway, when Alex looked at those people lining up, he saw from their clothes that they are commoners. He smiled and said, lowering the price was worth it. After looking at them for a while, Alex turned around and headed to the business area in town. The business area is where most establishments like general store, smithy, pharmacy, and a few others are located. The Adventurer Guild is also located in this area. Where's the Adventurer Guild? Alex searched for the guild for some time before finding it just beside the general store. The Adventurer Guild's building is nothing special beside those people holding weapons and wearing armors going in and out of the guild. Once he saw the guild, Alex didn't hesitate and directly entered. Alex was welcomed by the noisy environment of the Adventurers Guild. A lot of people are inside the guild doing various things such as drinking leisurely, planning strategies, picking quests from the quest board, etc. Alex's appearance attracted the eyes of a few adventurers who were drinking at a table near the entrance. Those adventurers all have big burly bodies and ugly, fierce-looking faces. They stared at Alex for a while without saying anything before turning away and continuing drinking. Alex only glanced at them before ignoring them. After looking around, Alex walked straight to the reception counter where a green-haired woman is assigned. When the female receptionist saw Alex, she gave a professional smile and said, "Hello, sir, my name is Lisa. How may I help you today?" I want to register as an adventurer," Alex answered. When he was on his way to the Adventurer Guild, Alex thought that registering as an adventurer is a pretty good idea. Because by being an adventurer, he will get an adventurer card which is similar to an ID in this world. With this, Alex can go to other cities and towns whenever he wants to. Also, he can also use this as a means to earn money and reputation in this world. Beside that, Alex also did this because adventurers are free citizens. This means that Alex will not be tied down to a country but to the Adventurers Guild. As for more details, let's talk about it in the future. Anyway, after hearing that Alex wanted to register, the receptionist, Lisa, took a bronze card from under the counter and handed it to Alex. Then she said, "Please put a drop of blood into this card." "Okay." Alex nodded. He picked his finger with a needle given by the receptionist. With a light squeeze, a drop of blood fell into the bronze card. When the blood fell, the card shone for a moment before it immediately died down. Then the voice of the receptionist came to Alex's ears at this time. "Congratulations, you have successfully registered as an adventurer." At the same time, a light transparent notification screen appeared in front of him. Ding! "Congratulations on becoming an adventurer." Hearing the almost similar words from the receptionist and the notification, Alex turned his eyes back into the card. Curiously, Alex took a look at the bronze card again and saw that there are now words written on it. Guild card. Name, 0. Level, 25. Class, Mage. Rank, E. The information written on the card is simple and easy to understand. It's just some basic information about Alex as well as his adventurer rank. Alex scanned it for a while before his eyes stopped at the class part of the card. When he saw what was written there, a smile slowly crept up his face. Concealment worked perfectly. Before, when Alex saved those missing students, he learned concealment using a few skill points. The reason for that is to avoid Chris from peeking at his information with her skill appraisal. Alex doesn't know as much information Chris can see when using her skill. But to be on the safe side, Alex used concealment on almost everything that he could use it on. And right now, the skill concealment is being used to hide his real class from other people. Chapter 52. Registered Adventurer. After Alex scanned the card, he looked up at the receptionist and asked, "Does this mean that I'm an adventurer now and can take quests for myself?" Lisa smiled and replied, "Yes, you may now choose any quests that you want as long as it's rank E or at most, rank D. But before you start taking a quest, first let me explain to you about the Adventurer Guild." Hearing that, Alex did not decline. "Sure, please tell me about it." "Then, let me explain to you about the guild's ranking system," Lisa said. "In the Adventurers Guild, we have 6 ranks. From lowest to highest, they are E, D, C, B, A, S. S is the highest rank and they are said to have enough power to stand equal to any kingdoms." When she said that, a proud look couldn't help but appear on Lisa's face. Continuing, she said, "To increase your rank, all you have to do is complete 10 quests that are the same as your rank or 5 quests 1 rank higher than your current rank. Every time you complete a quest, the guild card will record it. Once you successfully finish enough quests to rank up, the guild card will send you a notification through the world system." A serious look appeared on Lisa's face as she said to Alex, "Remember to never lose your guild card because if you do, you will have to register again and go back to rank E." Hearing that, Alex frowned before nodding. Thank you, I will make sure to never lose it." With Alex's words, the serious look on Lisa's face got immediately replaced by a gentle smile like before. Then, she told Alex a few more things before saying, "Now I have told you everything that's needed to be told. You can now go there to the quest board and choose a quest that you want to do." Alex smiled and said, "Okay, thanks, Lisa." He was about to walk away but he remembered his real purpose for coming to the Adventurers Guild. "Oh, wait," he looked at Lisa again and said, I want to ask about one last thing." Tilting her head a little, Lisa asked, "What is it, sir?" Alex scratched his head and said, "Actually, the main reason why I came to the Adventurers Guild was to ask about the Trial Tower. When she heard the name Trial Tower, Lisa's eyes widened. Are you going through class advancement? She asked. Alex didn't say anything and just showed her his guild card. Lisa covered her mouth in surprise and said, You're already level 25 and also, you're actually a mage. Alex confusedly tilted his head and said, Is it that bit of a deal to be at level 25? I mean, I know that you'll go through class advancement at level 25 but, it's not anything special, right? After all, it's still just level 25. Lisa looked at Alex with blank eyes. Then she said, Of course it's a big deal. You have to know that here in Cupido Town, the highest ranking adventurer is only B rank. And a level 25 can be said to be at the level of AC rank. That means, even though you're only an E rank right now, your true combat power is actually equivalent to AC rank adventurer. Just one rank away from the highest ranking adventurer here in Cupido Town. A look of understanding appeared on Alex's face. Oh, so that's the case, hey. Lisa nodded in satisfaction after seeing that Alex understood. After that, she said, Anyway, about the trial tower, there's no tower here in Cupido Town. Then where am I supposed to look for a trial tower? Alex asked. The only trial tower here in Kia's kingdom is in the capital, Najals. Hearing that, Alex frowned. Scratching his head, he said, How can I go to the capital then? Well, Najals is far from here so it will take about a month or so if you travel there on foot. If you don't want that, you can hire a carriage and pay 10 silver coins to get there. Alex pondered for a bit before saying, Do you have a map that leads to Najals? Lisa smiled and grabbed something from under the counter and gave it to Alex. Here's a map, you can buy it for just a silver coin. Alex picked up the map and looked at it. It's a rough map that just marks some landmarks on the road heading towards Najals. After looking at it for a while, Alex said, Okay, I'll buy it. He took a silver coin from his inventory and handed it to Lisa. After that, Alex asked a few more things before leaving the counter. Next, Alex walked towards the quest board. With his hand on his chin, Alex looked through the available quests on the board. Should I take a quest? Most of the quests for E ranks are just gathering, delivery, cleaning, and other odd jobs. As for D ranks, there are some subjugation quests for monsters such as goblins, wind wolves, horned rabbits, etc. They are just low-level monsters, perfect for D-rank adventurers to fight with and increase their levels. After thinking for a while, Alex decided to take the subjugation quests for D ranks. Since it's easy and he can complete it without taking too much time. If he does it immediately, it's possible that he can rank up within today. After deciding that, Alex did not waste more time and left the guild. Since those subjugations are continuous quests, Alex only needs to hand over proof of subjugation to the guild to complete those quests. Alex left the town and once again headed to the Black Forest. By the way, Fairy was with Alex the whole time back in the guild but he casted stealth on him so that people won't see him. But after leaving the town, Alex removed the stealth on Fairy and rode on his back. Patting his neck, Alex said, Fairy, let's go back to the forest and hunt some monsters. Woof. Just like that, Alex and Fairy went back to the forest after leaving it not long ago. Chapter 53. Motivated Workers. Cupido Town, Lucky Restaurant. While Alex went out to complete some quests, the Don and his men are also busy with running the restaurant. Egg fried rice for table 3. Honey glazed chicken on table 1. Boss, table 5 ordered adobo. One after another, the server entered the kitchen, telling Don the orders. Don looked up while stirring the pot and said, Okay, it'll be done in 5 minutes. After that, he turned his eyes back to the dishes he's preparing. At this time, Don is already sweating because of exhaustion and the heat from the kitchen. However, even though he's already tired, there's still a smile on his face. Every time he felt like he's about to give up, he muttered to himself, I can activate my world system today if I work harder. Like a mantra, he repeatedly said that while cooking. Outside the kitchen, Ben is also busy with managing the counter but not as much as Don. Here, he's in charge of welcoming the customers as well as taking the orders of some of them. Actually, Ben can just relax and let the other workers handle everything but he just can't because of Alex's promise. Ben's original responsibilities are actually managing the workers and making sure that nothing goes wrong with the restaurant. He also makes sure that every customer is comfortable while dining to make sure that they get a good experience. Anyway, the restaurant is still packed at this hour and people are still lining up outside. Because of that, Don and Ben can't help but become more and more happy even if their body is so tired. Similarly, the other thugs or workers are also working very hard. Some of them are acting as servers while there are also some who are acting as security guards. What's your order? Please line up properly. Mister, please don't push the people around you or else we will have to ask you to leave. With everyone working hard, the restaurant became more and more prosperous. Because of that, almost everyone in town started talking about Lucky Restaurant. It even reached the ears of Baron Davis, the lord that governs Cupido town. But Alex didn't know any of that. Right now, he's busy hunting monsters in the Black Forest. Ha! Alex kicked a boar that's charging towards him. The boar flew back and hit a tree because of that simple kick from Alex. You killed a level 3 wild boar, plus 20 experience points. After hearing the notification, Alex was sure that the boar died. Good, it didn't explode and turn into mush meat this time. Looks like I'm starting to get some control over my strength. This boar is actually the 8th monster that Alex met since he and Fairy came back to Black Forest. But, it is also the first monster that managed to stay intact after dying from his hands. The reason for this is that Alex's strength increased at a fast speed, not letting him get enough time to perfectly adapt and control it. That's why, he decided to not use any skill when hunting this time, to exercise control over his strength. At the same time, it is so that he won't ruin the body of the monster since he needs to gather proof of subjugation for the quest. Because his skills are too powerful and just ruins the corpse of the monsters he kills, going melee is the solution that Alex thought. Anyway, after practicing for a couple of times, Alex has finally become able to control his strength so that the monster's corpse won't get destroyed. Alex approached the dead boar and with a sharp stone, he cut off the short tail of the boar. This is the proof of subjugation for wild boars. After doing that, Alex sighed, collecting subjugation proofs is such a hassle. It's also such a waste since I can't use sacrifice on monsters that I defeated. Shaking his head, Alex stopped thinking about it and thought something else. It's been a while since Fairy left, I wonder how's it going now on his side. Alex let Fairy go and hunt in the forest in his own since he can't be of any help to him now. Instead of letting Fairy do nothing around him, it's better to let it hunt and increase his level. After thinking about Fairy for a while, Alex once again started looking around for monsters. Well, time to go back hunting. Earth. Raven family's manor. At this time, everyone is gathered inside an office room. They are all seated on the sofa while looking in the same direction. And that is at Jonathan. At this time, Jonathan is sitting behind a table with his hands crossed together. Looking at everyone, Jonathan's eyes finally focused on Chris. My granddaughter, what do you think of the ideas suggested by your father? Hearing the question, Chris shook her head fiercely as she said, No, no, no. It's not possible, Grandpa. I won't do such a thing like seducing a man or whatever. Also, we're talking about my friend here. I don't want Alex to think that I'm acting weird because I want something from him. Chris' eyes are firm and determined. Just by looking at it, Jonathan is sure that no matter what they do, Chris will not agree with the plan concocted by her father. With a sigh, he said, Fine, then we will respect your thoughts and not force you to do anything. Chris' eyes immediately lit up, Really, Grandpa? Then she turned her head to her father, Rolando, and said, Dad, you heard Grandpa, you're not allowed to force me with this plan of yours. Rolando looked down, in disappointment, he sighed and said, Sigh. What are we going to do then? Are we just going to let Alex be after he got the dragon egg? Hearing Rolando's words, Jonathan turned his head sharply to him and said, And whose fault do you think that was? Rolando fell silent after that. Slightly shaking his head, Jonathan said, Don't worry, I just said that we will no longer force Chris into the plan. I never said that we will stop with our plan. Chapter 54. Rank up. Alter Dimension. Black Forest. It's been more than an hour since Alex started hunting. Within that time, he did not rest and just hunted monsters after monsters. Thanks to that, he finally obtained all the necessary proof for the quests. Wiping the sweat on his forehead, he said, Phew, that was nice, it feels like I did some light exercise. For the current him, hunting monsters here in the first layer of Black Forest is just a walk in the park. He didn't even have to use much of his strength since all of them got killed with one hit. That's why right now, Alex felt relaxed. Stretching a little, Alex opened his inventory. Inventory: pistol, dragon egg, clothes, goblin's ear x5, wild boar's tail x5, wind wolf's fang x5, horned rabbit's horn x5, slime's jelly x5. Looking at that, Alex smiled. I really managed to gather everything. With this, I can surely rank up. Alex raised his head and looked up to the sky. The sun is about to set at this time and the sky's color is already dyed bright orange. Seeing that, Alex sighed and said, it's already late. After completing these quests, I should go back home first. Alex turned around and started heading back to Cupido town. This time, he did not call Fairy and went back on his own. This is so that Fairy could continue hunting and increasing his level at its own pace. 10 minutes later, Alex arrived back in Cupido town. After passing through the inspection without any incident, Alex went straight to the Adventurer Guild. At this time, there's a lot more people than when he first came earlier. Adventurers who've been out hunting before are slowly coming back since it's already getting dark. Alex didn't pay attention to them and just directly walked towards an empty counter. Unexpectedly, the receptionist at that counter was actually the one from earlier, Lisa. When Lisa saw Alex, she smiled and said, "Oh, hello Mr. Alex, how may I help you this time?" Without saying a word, Alex took out the monster parts that were in his inventory and put it all on the counter. Looking at it, Lisa said, "This is... Oh, I want to hand this over for the continuous subjugation quests." Hearing that, a look of understanding dawned to Lisa. "Ah. Then please hand in your guild card." Alex handed his guild card to Lisa. "Here." Lisa took it and said, "Thank you. Please wait a second, I will confirm your kills first." Lisa then inserted the guild card into a crystal ball. The next moment, words suddenly started to appear on the surface of the crystal ball. Alex took a peek at it and saw that it seemed to be a record. Kill record. Wild boar, 6. Goblin, 8. Horned rabbit, 7. Slime, 7. After seeing it, Alex immediately realized what it was. He glanced at Lisa and asked, "Is that my kill record?" Lisa looked up and saw Alex staring at the crystal ball. With a smile, she nodded, "Yes, just like I said before, the guild card has the function of recording your kills as well as the quests that you completed. This is so that we can help manage the adventurers easier." Alex nodded in understanding. After a while, Lisa finished what she was doing and handed Alex's guild card back to him. "I have finished checking your kills, Mr. Alex. I have confirmed that you completed the quests Goblin Subjugation, Wild Boar Subjugation, Slime Subjugation, Horned Rabbit Subjugation, and Windwolf Subjugation. Congratulations, you completed 5 D rank quests, your rank is now D rank." Hearing that, there was no fluctuation in Alex's heart. He already expected it, there's no reason for him to be surprised. "Thanks," Alex said with a smile. Then he looked at the guild card on his hand and saw that his rank had indeed changed. "From E, it is now D." While he was looking at it, Lisa's voice sounded once again. "Here's your reward for completing the quests, Mr. Alex." Alex received it. A total of 9 silver coins. It's like that since the slime subjugation only rewards 1 silver while the others reward 2 silver coins. After receiving it, Alex left the guild without hesitation. Now, his next destination is Lucky Restaurant. Just a couple of minutes and Alex reached the restaurant. When he arrived, Alex noticed that there were still people lining up in front of the restaurant. However, it's not as exaggerated as the one from before. There's only about 4 people standing in line, it seems like they are together, a group of 2 men and 2 women. Alex just glanced at them before entering the restaurant. But then, those 4 noticed him and called, "Hey, excuse me." Alex stopped and turned his head to look at them. He said, "Yeah." One of the girls politely said, There's a line over here. If you want to eat inside the restaurant, please wait in line first." The other 3 also looked at Alex while nodding their heads, agreeing to the girl's words. Hearing that, Alex realized that they misunderstood something and was about to explain. That, actually. However, before he even got the chance to do so, the sound of the restaurant door opening sounded followed by Ben's voice. Boss, you're already here." Alex looked at Ben and nodded, "Yeah, how was the restaurant?" When Ben heard Alex ask, he immediately started getting excited. "Boss, the restaurant has been doing well the whole day. Did you know that we never ran out of customers the whole time? Because of that, Boss Don and the other brothers are now very tired. But still, everyone is happy since they are now able to work without there being any risk of danger. When he was talking, there was this smile that can't be erased on Ben's face. He can't hide his emotions from Alex. Alex listened with a smile and nodded. Just as he was about to speak, he was once again interrupted by the girl from the line. Excuse me, you're the owner of this restaurant? Chapter 55. Chris call. Excuse me, you are the owner of this restaurant? Alex looked over to the girl who's asking. Raising an eyebrow, he replied, yeah, is there a problem? Seeing Alex's reaction, the girl hurriedly waved her hands. Ah. No, I'm sorry for stopping you, I didn't know that you're the owner. Alex shrugged, it doesn't matter. Well, if you don't mind, I'll go in first. After saying that, Alex started walking inside the restaurant followed by Ben. After Alex left, the group of 4 outside were on their own. With no one else around, they once again started talking. Jenny, that was the store owner, why didn't you say anything? Said one of the men with blonde hair. Jenny, the one who talked to Alex sighed, what am I supposed to say? Did you not feel the aura of that man? At this time, the other man with a clean-cut black hair also said, I felt his aura too. That man has quite a strong aura around him. I might not know him, but I'm sure he's someone with a high standing. After he said that, the 4 fell into a momentary silence. It was the other girl with twin tails who finally broke this silence. She said, can we stop talking about that for now? Let's go eat first. Then, without waiting for them to respond, she strode inside the restaurant. When they saw that, Jenny and the 2 guys, Luther and Kent, looked at each other before letting out a helpless sigh. I guess Pam is right. We should go inside first and eat. Jenny said before following the twin tails Pam inside. With no other choice, Luther and Kent can only follow the 2 inside. After Alex entered the restaurant, he told Ben that he will go to the 3rd floor first and will wait for them to close the restaurant. As for when to close, Alex told them that after serving the last group in line outside, they can then close and rest. Alex stood at the 3rd floor or the rooftop. Here, the cool breeze of the wind felt refreshing that Alex unconsciously took a deep breath and closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he muttered, I've really changed, hey. Shaking his head, Alex leaned on the railings and watched the setting sun from afar. When the sun fully set and the sky darkened, the door to the 3rd floor opened. Boss? Are you here? Don and Ben came to the 3rd floor looking for Alex. Without looking, Alex said, did you guys close the restaurant? When they heard his voice, Don and Ben hurried over to him and replied, yes, boss. We already closed the store as you instructed. Good. Alex nodded. Then he turned around and faced the 2 of them. Looking at them, Alex asked, so, how was today's result? The 2 looked at each other before turning to look at Alex with a smile on their face. Ben was the first one to say, boss, because our store was so popular, a lot of people came as you have already seen. Because of that, our total sales today is 2 gold and 40 silver coins. Hearing that, Alex was a bit surprised. You have to know that, the average price of the products on the menu is only 8 bronze coins. Although there are some products that cost higher than that, Alex still never thought that they can earn over 2 gold coins. With a smile, Alex said, all of you did well. The smile on their faces became brighter thanks to Alex's praise. Without beating around the bushes, Alex said what the 2 have been waiting for. Because you did well, as I promised, I will sponsor the both of you to activate your world system. Immediately, Don and Ben started cheering on the rooftop, jumping together because of their excitement. Yes. Woohoo! We can finally become players. Alex just watched the 2 of them until they calmed down. Then he said, as soon as the church opens tomorrow, I will accompany the 2 of you there. Suddenly, the 2 bowed to Alex and said, thank you very much, boss. They genuinely felt grateful from the bottom of their hearts. In their life, they never thought that they would someday be able to become players. Because, even though they are thugs, they don't really earn that much. Maybe Don have a small chance of someday activating his world system and becoming a player since he's the leader of the gang. But Ben. Anyway, they are really thankful to Alex who gave them a proper job as well as the chance to become a player. I am only giving you what I promised. Alex said. With one last smile, he said, "See you tomorrow." Suddenly, Alex disappeared in front of Don and Ben. The next moment, Alex appeared back on Earth. But before he even got the chance to rest, the phone in his pocket rang. Ring ring. Alex took it and looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Chris. "What's the matter with this girl? She's been calling me a lot of time in the past few days, hey?" Curiously, Alex picked up the call. "Hey, Chris, what's the reason for you calling at this time in the night?" On the other side of the call, Chris was surprised that Alex finally answered the call. Then she remembered the reason why she called and hurriedly said, "Alex, you finally answered." Sighing, Chris said, "I've been trying to call you since morning since I have something that I want to talk about with you." Hearing that, Alex looked at the screen on his phone and indeed there are 37 missed calls. Alex can't help but become intrigued. And what is this important thing that you want to talk about that you have to continuously call me again and again for the whole day?" When Alex finally asked, Chris fell silent. Hesitantly, she said, Actually it's about my family and the reward that you took last time." Chapter 56. Raven Family's Dinner Invitation. Alex is sitting inside a high-class black car with a thoughtful look on his face. Sigh, is it because they learned that it was actually a dragon egg and not just a random stone? Alex muttered to himself. A few moments ago, when Chris suddenly called, she just said that she and her family wanted to talk to him regarding the reward he chose. After that, Chris told him that she will be sending a car to pick him up before hanging up. And that's why he's now sitting here, contemplating the reason for all of this. Sighing for the second time, Alex said, "Forget it, it's no use thinking of it now. I'll just see what this is all about when I got there." Saying that, Alex leaned his head on the back seat and closed his eyes for a while. 30 minutes later, the car stopped. The driver said, "Mr. Alex, we have arrived." Opening his eyes, Alex nodded to the driver before stepping out of the car. When Alex finally saw his surroundings, he once again saw just how wealthy Chris' family, the Raven family, truly is. "That girl, she's really a child of a rich family, hey?" Alex muttered. Just as he stepped out of the car, Chris and a few others also came out of the house to see Alex. "Alex!" Chris called out. Alex walked towards them and smiled at her. "Hey, Chris." Then he turned his eyes to Rolando beside Chris and politely greeted. "Good evening, Mr. Rolando." When Rolando heard that, he laughed a little and said, "Stop calling me Mr. Alex. Since you're a friend of my daughter, it's just normal for you to call me uncle, so do that from now on." Alex showed a reserved smile and replied, "Okay, uncle." Rolando laughed heartily after hearing Alex call him uncle. "Good, good. Ah, by the way, this is my father, Jonathan Raven." Finally, Rolando introduced Jonathan to Alex. When Alex first saw Jonathan, he immediately felt the immense power contained in that old body of his. So he immediately knows that this old man in front of him is actually a very strong player. Knowing that, Alex respectfully greeted Jonathan, "Good evening, sir." Seeing his attitude, Jonathan nodded and smiled in satisfaction. "Ho ho, good kid. Well, let's stop standing here and go inside so we can talk." Saying that, Jonathan was the first to go inside. Rolando smiled at Alex and invited him in. "Alex, let's go." Alex nodded, "Okay, uncle." With that, Rolando went ahead and caught up with his father. Now, there's only Chris and Alex left here. Alex turned his eyes back to Chris and asked, "So, Chris, what is this actually all about? If you don't mind, please tell me." Chris sighed, "It's not that I can't tell you, but you'll know about it later anyway. For now, let's go inside first." Then Chris grabbed Alex's hand and pulled him inside the house. With no other choice, Alex can only follow Chris obediently. Chris took Alex to the dining room where Rolando, Jonathan and the other members of the family were already seated. When Jonathan saw the two of them coming in, he immediately saw the hands of the two holding each other and smiled. "It seems like my granddaughter is really close with this kid," he silently thought. Of course, he's not the only one who thought of that, but also Rolando, his wife Sheila, and his siblings, Glenn and Rosa. A light flashed in each of their eyes when they saw the two coming in. As if noticing that, Chris paused and hurriedly let go of Alex's hands before running to her seat. Rolando looked at Alex and said, "Alex, come and take a seat. We're about to have dinner." "You shouldn't have your dinner yet, right?" Alex nodded, yes, I haven't eaten yet, uncle. Then go on and take a seat beside Chris. Alex didn't bother declining their offer and sat down on the only empty seat beside Chris. It's them who invited him to come to their house anyway when he just came back from an eventful day in the alter dimension. You have to know, Alex didn't eat lunch even after going out hunting for almost the whole day. Because of that, he's now tired and also hungry. After Alex sat down, Jonathan told the maids to start putting the dishes on the table. In an orderly manner, those maids who are obviously trained well placed food after food on the table. Alex saw a lot of food being brought in and some of them are food that are usually only eaten when there's occasion such as lechin. Anyway, after all the food was brought in, Jonathan picked up his spoon and fork and said, "Let's start eating." With his words, everyone also picked up their utensils and started eating. Alex also didn't fall behind and ate well. It seems like the rules in their house are not so uptight because while eating, Jonathan initiated a conversation. He looked at Alex and said, "Alex, if you don't mind me asking, how long has it been since you started diving into the alter dimensions?" Alex thought about whether to answer it or not for a second. In the end, he still decided to say it honestly. "It's been almost a week now, sir." Hearing that, everyone was surprised. Rolando can't help but say, "It hasn't been a week yet but you're already capable of killing monsters like a swang." Alex wasn't surprised that Rolando knew about the swang. After all, those students that he saved before were taken in by the Raven family. So without any surprise, they have probably asked about what happened in the alter dimension when they got kidnapped. At this time, Jonathan asked another question, "Alex, I know this might be a bit too personal of a question but, what is your current level now?" When the others heard him ask that, they turned silent and looked at Alex with curious eyes. Chapter 57. Raven Family's Shock. Alex slowly put down the utensils on his hands and lifted his head up to look at Jonathan. Seeing that, the others can't help but become expectant. Then, Alex opened his mouth and answered without hesitation. "My current level now is 25. I'm still a low-level newbie so I hope everyone can be considerate and take care of me." What Alex said was what is really inside his mind. For Alex, level 25 is just a low-level newbie. However, unlike him who thinks like that, Jonathan and the others were actually shocked by his answer. "What? It hasn't been a week but you're already level 25. Doesn't that mean that you're about to take class advancement and go to the trial tower?" Jonathan said, feeling slightly agitated. In his mind, he thought, we should make sure to get Alex into our side or if that's not possible, at least to have a friendly relationship with him. Jonathan can't help but unconsciously glance at Chris sitting beside Alex right now. My precious granddaughter, Chris, will be the one to pave the path towards that strong friendship. I should tell Rolando to give more resources to Chris later. At this point, all kinds of thoughts have already appeared inside Jonathan's head and it seems like a lot of time has passed. But in reality, it's only been a second. Anyway, after hearing Jonathan's words, Alex nodded, "Yes, sir. Actually, I am planning to prepare tomorrow for my trip towards the trial tower." This time, it was Rolando's turn to speak. You mean, there's no trial tower in the place you're currently in?" Alex nodded, "That's right, uncle. It's unfortunate but, the receptionist at the Adventurers Guild told me that the sole trial tower there is still in the capital which is a week away by carriage." Rolando nodded in understanding. Then with bright eyes, he said, "How about I help you? Tell me what place you're in and I'll see what I can do." After saying that, a smug look appeared on his face as he added, "Don't look at me like this, actually I'm quite a big shot in the alter dimension. So tell me, where are you staying right now in the alter dimension?" Unlike before, Alex did not answer this question immediately. Alex knows that by asking that question, Rolando has good intentions. However, Alex is not an idiot who will just randomly tell his location to other people. He knows the dangers that this might bring to him later on which could even lead to his own death. That's why Alex wasn't able to immediately answer the question. As if noticing his dilemma, Rolando said, "Forget it, you don't have to say it, Alex. We can just think of another way we can help you." Hearing that, Alex was stunned for a second before thanking Rolando. "Thank you for understanding, uncle." Shaking his head, Rolando said, "No, it was my fault for not being considerate and asking such a private question." Alex can't help but get a better impression of Rolando when he says that. After thinking about it, Alex suddenly said, "Uncle, Can I ask where you guys are at the altar dimension? If you can tell me that, I can probably tell you mine as well. Rolando waved his hand dismissively and said, our family's location in the altar dimension is actually not a secret. Almost everyone who goes into the altar dimension knows that we own a territory in the Winter Kingdom. Ooh, so the place that you all are staying in is called Winter Kingdom, hey. I will remember it. Alex said. Then he followed, since Uncle has already told me your location, then it's just right for me to tell mine as well. The place that I'm in right now is called Kias's Kingdom. Besides that, I don't really know anything since I haven't seen much of the place there. Hearing that, Ronaldo thought about it for a few seconds before shaking his head, saying, I haven't heard of that kingdom before. Maybe it's far away from the Winter Kingdom. Turning his head to the seat of the head where Jonathan is sitting, he said, how about you, Dad? Have you heard of the place that Alex mentioned? Jonathan rubs his chin with a thoughtful, saying, no, in the long time that I've been going in and out of the altar dimension, this is the first time I heard of that kingdom. When they heard that, almost everyone sitting around the table frowned. How is that possible, Father? You're one of the first ever explorer who went to the altar dimension, said Glenn. Jonathan glanced at him and said, just because I was one of the first explorers doesn't mean that I know more than other new players. After saying that, he turned his gaze towards Alex and said, it seems like we won't be able to help you inside the altar dimension for the time being. But don't worry, we can still help you from here on Earth. Rolando, give Alex a motorcycle. He can bring it to the altar dimension by himself and use it as a way of transportation. Rolando's eyes lit up after hearing Jonathan's suggestion. Understood, Father. I will immediately prepare it after we finish our dinner. Just as he said that, Alex suddenly said, Uncle, you don't have to bother about that. I can just rent a carriage there or walk on my own. Using a motorcycle there doesn't fit the mood for me. Is that so? Rolando frowned. He turned his eyes to Jonathan as if asking what to do, but Jonathan said, well, for now let's stop talking about these things. We should finish eating first, then go to the living room to talk properly later. Hearing that, Rolando can only stop for now. Then, everyone went back to eating their food in a relaxed manner. After seeing that they finally stopped talking, Alex sighed in relief. Sigh, what do they really want from me? He muttered. Chapter 58. Sincere offer? Dinner time passed by without any more surprises. After they finished eating, Alex and the whole Raven family went to the living room. Once everyone sat down, Jonathan took the lead and said, Alex, in the past few decades that I've been wandering around the altar dimension, this is the first time I'm seeing someone as brilliant as you. After a pause, Jonathan continued, you might have already heard from my granddaughter Chris, but the thing that we originally want to talk about tonight is about the reward you took last time. The dragon egg. After saying that, Jonathan carefully observed Alex's face. When he saw that Alex's expression didn't even fluctuate, Jonathan narrowed his eyes and said, you don't seem surprised that the stone you took was a dragon egg. Hearing that, Alex smiled and said, of course, I'm not. After all, I already learned about it not long ago. Jonathan was stunned, before a smile suddenly crept up his lips. While shaking his head, Jonathan said, I really didn't think wrong. You are indeed a mysterious kid. Then he said, fine, since you have shown us just how capable of a player you are, let's forget talking about taking back the dragon egg from you. Hearing that, Rolando, Glenn, and Rosa all shook their heads with a helpless smile on their faces. As Jonathan's childrens, they know just how much he treasures talented people. Usually, whenever Jonathan sees a talented individual, he can't help but want to attract them to their family and give them support. Because of that, the Raven House has a lot of talented people within it that were from the outside of the family. And now, seeing such a talented man like Alex, this personality of his has once again surfaced. After hearing Jonathan's words, Alex frowned and curiously said, Sir, if I... But before he even got the chance to talk properly, he was interrupted by Jonathan. Stop, don't call me that. Hey! Alex wasn't prepared for that and let out a confused sound. Seeing that, Jonathan looked at him and repeated, I said you should stop calling me sir. Since you're already calling Rolando uncle, why are you still calling me sir? Since you're Chris' only close friend, call me grandpa from now on. Alex didn't know how to react from this turn of events. However, after taking a deep breath, Alex managed to keep himself composed. Then he calmly said, "Granda." Nodding in satisfaction, Jonathan said, "Good. Now, continue with what you were saying." Alex nodded and continued, "Grandpa, I just want to ask why you said that you originally wanted to talk about the dragon egg earlier. Were you guys planning to take it back or something?" It will be a lie if Alex said he wasn't worried about this. After all, if they ever thought of taking back the dragon egg, with a strong player like Jonathan, Alex can only helplessly give it back. Fortunately, Jonathan's answer immediately made him relax. Shaking his head, Jonathan said, "No, although they were indeed thinking of that when they learned that what you took was a dragon egg, I already stopped that. The thing that I want to talk about tonight was actually how we will balance things since the item you received from us was such a precious thing. That's why we were originally discussing how we can make you come to our family." Chuckling a little, Jonathan looked at Alex with a smile and said, "We were even thinking of asking Chris to seduce you before. Unfortunately, she declined." Haha. Listening to everything Jonathan said, it was Alex's turn to be stunned. On the side, Chris' voice quietly sounded. "It would be weirder if I agreed to such a thing." Even though it's in a small voice, everyone in the room heard it clearly. Rolando can only smile wryly at it. Alex took a deep glance at Chris before turning his eyes back to Jonathan. He said, "Then Grandpa, what are we going to talk about now then?" Hearing him ask, Jonathan's eyes became serious and said, "Alex, I know that you also know just how great your potential is. That's why I won't beat around the bushes and ask you directly. Are you willing to join our Raven family?" When he said those words, Jonathan exerted some pressure and looked at Alex intently. Alex frowned deeply, feeling the pressure coming from Jonathan. What's this? Is he planning to force into becoming a part of their family? Alex silently thought. Gritting his teeth, Alex looked straight into Jonathan's eyes and said, "No, I don't have any plan of joining any family or organization. What I want is to rise up with my own strength." Jonathan narrowed his eyes more and continued looking at Alex before finally taking back the pressure. Noticing that the heavy weight around him has disappeared, Alex heaved a sigh of relief. Then he looked at Jonathan with questioning eyes that seemed to say, "What do you mean by that?" Jonathan just smiled and said, "I was testing you. I wanted to make sure that you can remain stubborn on the things that you want even at the threat of a stronger being. It's because such a will is necessary if you plan to go further in the alter dimension." At the end of his words, a touch of nostalgia appeared on Jonathan's face. Alex was stunned. At this time, Chris' voice echoed again, "Grandpa, there's nothing for you to worry about. If it's just stubbornness, I can confidently tell you that Alex is almost overflowing with that." Hearing that, everyone laughed and even Alex also laughed a little. Then, once the laughter died down, Jonathan said, "I already expected that you would decline my offer. That's why, this time, I would like to present you with my most sincere offer." Hearing that, Alex became serious and paid close attention to what Jonathan would say next. Finally, Jonathan opened his mouth and offered something to Alex that surprised him. Chapter 59. Going to the capital. Walking down the streets, Alex looked at the lively nightlife of the city with a head full of thoughts. "Protecting this city, hey?" Alex muttered. Alex sighed, feeling a little complicated inside. That is because, just a while ago at the Raven's Manor, Jonathan offered him something. And that is, to help them protect Pearl City, and in exchange, they will protect him from the prying eyes on Earth. Alex understood what they meant after a little explanation from Rolando. Here on Earth, the world is actually not peaceful. There are organizations that formed connections with those monsters from the alter dimension. Basically, they are people who help those monsters in exchange for power. After all, what players want the most is to become stronger to the point that some of them are even willing to harm others for it. And the Raven family, or more precisely Jonathan, is promising to protect him from those threats until he grows up and becomes able to stand on his own 2 feet. As a payment for their protection, Jonathan asked Alex to help them in protecting this city, the Pearl City. Thinking of that, Alex will be lying if he said that he doesn't want their protection. Alex is not a fool, he knows that at some point in the future, he will meet all kinds of people and some of them don't have good thoughts about him. So their protection will be a great help to him if he hasn't grown up yet at that point. However, there's just one thing that Alex is thinking of. "I don't really feel any affection to this city though," he muttered, followed by a long sigh. For Alex, Pearl City isn't exactly that he feels fond of. After all, he felt all kinds of things while living here. As an orphan and someone who makes a living through diving through the dumpster, people don't really look at him with good eyes. He was even humiliated a couple of times in the past. But as a man at the bottom of the society, Alex can do nothing but endure. That's one of the reasons why Alex wants to rise up in the future. To prove those people who told him he will reach nothing because he's just a garbage that should stay in the dumpster that they are wrong. Alex once again sighed before a determined look appeared in his eyes. He said, "It doesn't matter if I don't like this city. I just have to think that this is work. As long as I can have some protection, it's fine." Then after thinking about it, a smile crept up his lips and he said, "Also, if I become a protector of this city, isn't that almost putting the fate of those people into my own hands?" Chuckling, Alex felt a little comforted with his own words. And so, Alex finally made a choice to accept Jonathan's offer. He has nothing to lose anyway, so why should he refuse it? In a light mood, Alex started heading back towards his house. When he got home, Alex did a light shower before heading back to bed. Raven's Manor. Unlike Alex, who already went to bed at this time, the Raven family is still awake and gathered in Rolando's office room. Jonathan is sitting at the head seat as usual. The reason why they are all gathered at this time is none other Alex. This time, the first one to speak is Glenn. With a slight frown, he asked, "Father, Alex is still only level 25, why did you ask him to become a protector of the city?" Glenn is the leader of the CPS or City Protection Squad here in Pearl City. So, Jonathan's offer is almost equivalent to putting Alex under his care. That's why Glenn is very concerned about this matter. Jonathan turned his gaze at him and said, "Did you not feel it? Even though Alex is supposedly only level 25, the power that is hidden inside his body is obviously more than just a normal 25. Hearing that, Glenn fell silent. Of course he also felt it. It's normal for other strong players to be able to gauge the power of their opponents just by the aura being exuded by the other party. And earlier, Glenn indeed felt power greater than a level 25 from Alex. Then it was Rolando's turn to speak and he looked at Chris. "Daughter, did Alex lie about his level? You should know about it since you have appraisal skill." Being asked by her dad, Chris didn't immediately reply. Just when Rolando frowned and was about to ask again, Chris finally replied. Shaking her head, she said, "I don't know, Dad." Rolando raised an eyebrow and said, "What do you mean? Did you not use appraisal on him?" Raising her head, Chris looked at Rolando and said, "I did, Dad. It's just that, no matter how many times I try to use it on him, the only response from my skill was question marks." Hearing that, everyone immediately understood. They've been in the alter dimension for years and they have seen quite a lot of means, including skills that block skills such as appraisal from peeking at their information. Crossing his arms together, Jonathan leaned his back on his seat and calmly said, "That kid is really the cautious type, hey." Then a slight smile appeared on his lips and he said, "It doesn't matter. Everyone just has to remain friendly with him and never underestimate him. Making someone like him an enemy will have a lot of consequences, so we should stay on friendly terms with him even if he doesn't agree to our offer." "We understand, Father." Rolando, Glenn, and Rosa said in unison. The night passed by without any problem for Alex and the sun soon rose into the sky. Alex woke up with a bright smile, took a shower, ate breakfast, and prepared to go out. Looking at the clear sky outside the window, Alex said, "Today, let's head to the capital." Chapter 60. Fulfilling Promise. Alter Dimension. Cupido Town, Lucky Restaurant. Alex came here early today to fulfill the promise he gave last night to Don and Ben. When Alex arrived, he was surprised to see that those two were actually there already, even earlier than him. "Oh, you two are so early." They smiled at Alex with dark circles in their eyes. "We couldn't sleep last night because of excitement, boss," Don said. "That's right, that's why we decided to just come early today." Ben followed. Hearing that, Alex smiled in response. "Since you're here now, let's go directly to the church and activate the world system of the both of you." After hearing that, the fatigue on both Don and Ben's faces immediately disappeared. They excitedly nodded and said, "Okay, boss." The three of them left the restaurant and headed towards the Church of Light at the city center. Not long after, they arrived at the church and quietly entered. Alex observed the atmosphere within the church as he walked inside. Behind him, Don and Ben, who's following Alex, started to feel nervous and excited. "This is really happening, right? I'm not dreaming, right?" Don muttered. Then suddenly, Ben screamed from pain. Ah! It attracted the eyes of the people around, including Alex. Noticing that, Ben hurriedly covered his mouth and apologized to the people before turning his eyes to Don with dark eyes. Why did you suddenly pinch my arm, boss? Ben complained. At this time, Don's hand is still pinching Ben's arm. Don slowly retracted his hand and calmly looked at Ben, saying, I just want to make sure that I'm not dreaming. Ben was stunned hearing that, then with a painful look on his face, he asked, then why am I the one you're pinching and not yourself? Of course, because I don't like feeling pain. Don said in a matter-of-fact tone. Ben was speechless. In the end, he can do nothing but move away from Don while rubbing his arms. At this time, a priest approached them and said, May the God of light guide you. In response, Don and Ben hurriedly gathered themselves and bowed, saying, May the God of light guide you, Father. Alex just watched that but didn't do the same. The priest took a glance at him after seeing that but didn't say anything. Turning his attention back to Don and Ben, the priest asked, For what reason did you come to church today? Don stepped forward and respectfully said, Father, today we are here to ask you to activate the world system for the two of us. The priest nodded in understanding and said, If that's the case, then please follow me. After saying that, he turned around and started walking deeper into the church. Seeing that, Alex approached Don and Ben, handing them 1 gold coin each. Here's 1 gold coin for each of you. Use it to activate your world system. The two held onto the gold coin tightly as if afraid to lose it and looked at Alex with teary eyes. Boss, thank you so much. I will never forget this kindness that you showed me forever. Boss Don is right, we will both always be grateful to you. No matter what happens in the future, I will remain loyal and follow you through thick and thin, boss. Alex smirked and said, Well, if you're that grateful, just make sure that you won't neglect the restaurant. Anyway, go on now, the priest is still waiting for you. The two bowed and thanked Alex for the last time before hurriedly following the priest. Looking at their back for a while, Alex turned around and headed out of the church. Outside the church, Alex looked at the sky and took a deep breath. Now then, it's about time that I head out towards the capital. With light footsteps, Alex left the church and went back to the restaurant. Then, without wasting time, he used portal and went directly to Kun's lair. When he arrived, Alex suddenly sat down and closed his eyes. He remained still like that for quite some before his eyes snapped open and stared at the entrance of the dungeon. Finally, after a few seconds, the figure of Fairy that was rushing towards Alex became visible. Seeing that, Alex smiled, Come here, Fairy. Woof. Fairy started running faster until he slammed into Alex. Boom. A loud second within the dungeon because of the impact of their collision. A couple of seconds later, Alex's laughter resounded throughout the whole dungeon, saying, You're so energetic today, Fairy. Did you hunt a lot yesterday? Fairy nodded its head humanely before barking twice. Woof woof. Ha ha ha, that's good then. After the two played around for a while, Alex finally stood up. Looking at the playful wolf on his arms, Alex said, Fairy, today I am going on a long trip. It will take some time before I go back, so do you want to travel with me? Fairy broke away from Alex's arms and stood up straight in front of him while nodding seriously. His posture seems to say, Of course, I will always follow my master. Alex chuckled, Good. Then let's not waste more time and head out immediately. Woof. Once again, Alex used portal and went back to the restaurant, but this time, with Fairy in tow. When he got back, Don and Ben were still not back. However, the other thugs who serve as waiters and guards are already there. When they saw Alex and Fairy suddenly appear out of thin air, they were surprised. But after seeing that it was actually Alex, they calmed down and greeted him energetically. Good morning, boss. From their tone, you can hear the respect that they have for Alex. Even though most of them are even older than him, it wasn't a reason for them to not respect him. That is because they have already tasted how fearsome Alex is firsthand. So it can be said that they learned this respect the hard way.